what is a 16 core X3D from 2 generations ago? What is it really going to sell for? I think we're going to have a flood of really cheap stuff on eBay. Well, there's crazy stuff that's new. Welcome to Broken Silicon, a gaming hardware podcast. I am your host, Tom, and today's lead sponsors are David. You can get a free carton with any order of 4 or more through a link below. Wondershare Recover It, which you can download for free to support the channel below. And then cdkeyoffer.com, where you can get Windows 11 Professional for $24. All right, my dude, thank you for coming on again. It's the 3rd time. Please introduce yourself and what... what do you do, and what do you do outside of YouTube, actually, and what makes you keep coming back to doing YouTube videos?
Well, so I'm Vix. I make a lot of content, usually more about like gaming optimization and stuff nowadays, because hardware, we haven't really had that much in a while. But, I usually cover that stuff. And outside of YouTube, I do YouTube full time now, but I didn't used to. I used to do remodeling and stuff. So I actually... just yesterday, I threw up some drywall in the bathroom upstairs. So, we do that kind of stuff. And other than that, I love tech. I always have. I built my PC at like 15 years old. I think I built it for like $300. I got like a really good deal on like used parts and stuff. So like I have a long history with it. I've always been down for optimization. I want to get the best for the money and make your game run the best. Now, you won't really catch me doing RGB and stuff.
I'm not a big fan of that either, really.
Yeah,
I like maybe one red light, but I don't need the craziness.
Yeah, just a little bit, I usually go like black box because it's cheaper. So
how do you feel about where things have gone? I think the pendulum's starting to swing back the other way, where like a lot of do-it-yourself PC companies are trying to have a professional, Apple-ish looking, like non-gamery looking offering. 5 years ago was much worse. But like, how did you feel about... Because again, I think it's getting better now. But if I would have brought this up to you a couple of years ago, I would have said it's becoming almost impossible to get something that doesn't look like a transformer vomited on Fortnite or something.
Yeah, the extremes went pretty nuts. I think when I always think like minimalism with PCs, it's like Optimum Tech, that kind of style. Like it's very, very clean. I'm usually not that clean, but the ITX stuff to me gets a little bit too pricey. It's kind of like the same level of all the RGB and all the fans and stuff, where like you have to pay a lot for the power supply, the case, the coolers. But like, I think it looks cool and it's pretty practical. Like if you want to have your PC on your desk and it looks clean, it's very Apple. Yeah, I agree with that. And Apple makes nice stuff. So
careful, people will be typing in all caps.
Sorry.
Actually, it's funny. I've had people say to me, Hey, Tom, I know you're not a fan of Apple, but I go, when did I ever say I hate Apple? Just because I don't use... Like, people assume if you're a PC gamer, you hate Apple, because I think a lot of them, at least on Reddit, do.
Yeah. Like, you can't really... I'm actually working on it. I got a MacBook, because when you stack up all the laptops, I remember I was, like, looking on, I was like, I need something I can travel with, I can edit on the go. Good battery life, I could use it as a daily machine for like emails and stuff like that. When you really stack everything together, it's like MacBook. Other than like gaming, you're not really gonna be able to game on it. You could stream stuff to it for like other stuff, but yeah, your game library, I think I've checked it. My Steam library gets cut to like 10% of it was. And then all of the games that are still there are like, they're just like Rosetta running through translation. And the battery, it's like weird because you'll be running like Balatro, and Balatro isn't native Mac, and it'll actually heat up the laptop. I was like, I'm playing 60 FPS Balatro. Like,
that's something I don't think people get, is half of the reason Apple looks so magical with their chips is because of every program is programmed to the metal to run on those
and it's
chips.
Great. Like I've run stuff on it for like editing. Even value wise, Macs are stacking up to the Windows PC or the Windows laptops. Because
see that's what's interesting, right?
Stuff.
an interesting thing's happening right now where I have a Strix Halo laptop from HP. It's the best, closest to a Mac experience I've had because it's expensive. They had to make it work well. It doesn't have any battery drain issues. I'll fall asleep reading at night and I'll wake up. It still
you can
has
shut
battery.
It's like good.
Oh yeah, I'll put it down. Like it doesn't. It'll go a day or two. I can, it's as powerful as a PS5. I mean, I can just game on an airplane while we're flying somewhere. It's very nice. Cool. But cool. I got it even on sale for like $2,200 or something a year ago, and
that's not bad for this.
No. It started at like 8,000, and then for all the AI people bought it first, and then it went down in price. And then Panther Lake, which is the closest thing Intel has, is also pretty much that expensive if you want a good experience, and it's also good.
Yeah.
But and then people would say, well, yeah, but Macs are expensive. It's like, well, but now the Neo's out, and all of a sudden that's actually destroying the OEM landscape. I mean, Asus said in an interview, we literally would say in meetings, well, they'll never make a laptop cheaper than 700, so that's what we should target. And it's just interesting, like when some Windows laptops are competitive with Apple, it's because they use really cutting edge tech and they cost as much as Apple. And then at the same time, Apple's just like, that's fine. All the soccer moms will buy our Neo laptops for $500 and you can have that market. And I know OEMs are actually freaking out right now.
Yeah. I mean, even like the little things, I mean, they nail like the using a laptop, because at the end of the day, the hardware can be whatever you want and the hardware is still great in Macs, but sometimes you have to pay a lot for it if you really want the power, which does get ridiculous. But they nailed the good, like interactable stuff. Like the keyboard feels pretty good. The trackpad, amazing. Even on the Neo, I went to the Apple store just to see what the trackpad was like. It's better than every single Windows laptop I've ever tried.
Yeah, I haven't ever tried the Neo. Did it feel like you were just using a normal laptop? I assume it did.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't try anything intensive on it, or I just kind of messed around with the hardware. And yeah, tapping the trackpad, it feels pretty close to the haptic ones. Like, I'm not complaining. And I've used I'm comparing the MacBook to, I have the laptop here. It's a G16 from Asus. Not a cheap laptop. Like, really not cheap. Great screen and everything. But then you use the trackpad. It's like the trackpad is like massive, but it's diving board. And I don't want to use the trackpad.
Yeah.
It's like, just give me a touch screen at that point.
Yeah, it's weird. Again, my Strix Halo laptop, it feels, I think, pretty close to as good as Mac. I know someone who also has one, and he says it's almost as good because he also has a Mac, so you compare it directly. But it's like, why does this have to be in a $2,000 like Panther Lake or Strix Halo laptop? Why can't put the good trackpad? How much more does it really? $5? Like, put it in all of your laptops. Like, what are we doing?
I don't know what they're waiting on. Like, Apple's been on haptic trackpads since 2018, I think, and they've been better every single time.
Yeah.
So like, it's taken 8 years to even start to see them pop up. I think some of the new laptops have them, but a lot of them still have like bad palm rejection stuff because I have this big trackpad. Sure. And then you put your palms on it and it's like it starts moving your mouse everywhere, and you might want to just plug in a mouse at that point. So like, yeah, Apple nails that stuff. And then I've tried it like editing on the MacBook. Yeah, gaming, not great, but that APU basically, or the SoC, is faster at rendering and playing back footage, like graphically intensive footage, than the 5070 Ti that's in the G16. And that's, well, it's not a desktop 5070 Ti, but that's crazy. And it does that like half or a third of the power. So it's pretty hard to beat. And now the value's there because they've done the vertical integration. Now you can't get as much RAM, which does kind of suck. Like, mine has 24 gigs of RAM, which is decent. And people will say Mac OS is so optimized, but when you hit RAM, you're still gonna hit RAM.
Yeah.
So like, you'd maybe want more than that, and it's easier to get that on Windows, I think. But they're pretty good.
Yeah, I saw you were talking about this on your channel recently. Like, Windows is going through a real crisis right now. Like, people are running away to Linux and Apple, or maybe your Gen Alpha's using your phone for everything. I mean, a lot of people are doing that. And they wouldn't if Windows worked, I think. And so I'm hoping they wake up, though, because they're starting, like, they're kind of ditching Copilot. finally, I've always been confused by their Xbox division. It's like there to cannibalize PC sales, but you're not going to bring over the console optimizations to Windows. Like, it seems like they're going to with Helix and stuff. So I'm hopeful that they're waking up, I guess, but it is crazy it had to get this bad for them to actually wake up when they just had a monopoly. Just keep it going. I mean, it's like Apple with their iPhones. Just make good iPhones. They don't even need to be special.
It almost makes me think that they do it intentionally. It's like they're not dumb. I mean, shoot, they made Copilot. They could tell them how to fix Xbox or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's like, why do they make Windows? Like, why do they slowly deteriorate it? Honestly, I don't even know. At the end of the day, they maybe have a plan. I know, like back in the day, and this is why it makes me almost think it's intentional, is they had to let Apple. They bailed out Apple, didn't they?
I don't remember, but
it was something like that because they had to allow Apple to compete, or else all of their they would be a monopoly, and they'd probably get like sued like crazy. But like all of their partners were like, hey, like give Apple a bone or something like that. I forget exactly what they did, but they allowed them to work, and now Apple's huge. So I do wonder if Windows is doing that, and now they maybe let it go too far. I'm not 100% sure, but it is a mess. I'm stuck on Windows personally because I've done way too many specific Windows things, and on my main PC, it's just it would set you back
my
too
workflow.
much.
It's not even about how fast the PC is. I'm just so used to like how I do my folders, so that I can make a video if I need to in an hour. That it's like I just
the setback time would be nuts. It's like it would actually put you back probably like a month. Or something like that. Like it wouldn't be easy. And then you'd probably run into compatibility things with something. So it's hard to make that switch, but I'm probably going to try Linux.
I know it's getting so tempting.
I know it looks good. Like I'm leaning towards, I've looked into some of the distros and stuff, but they have like ones that are good for like gaming, but not like, just Bazite, which is basically just SteamOS. But like you could still do other stuff like Catchy and Nobaro. Those are the ones I'm looking at, if you know anything about them, but they run well. They're clean interfaces and pretty good experience. It seems like they're usually set up out of the box for a lot of things, but I'm definitely tempted. Not gonna lie.
Valentin writes in and says, or Valentine, there is a lot of Doomerism language out there right now about the enthusiast PC landscape. For example, in a trailer for an upcoming Gamers Nexus documentary, some people were shown being interviewed basically saying the enthusiast PC market is dead. Do you agree with this perspective? The high RAM and SSD prices suck, sure, but at the same time, there isn't much exciting hardware out there to want right now. With the RTX 5000 series, 1.5 years old now, and still not remotely close to MSRP because they're not even making much of them.
Yeah.
He says Zen 5% was underwhelming. Sure, I still feel perfectly happy with my Zen 3, even if the price situation doesn't improve as much. Zen 6 and RDNA 5 have to drive up excitement somewhat, I would think, though. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say is, didn't we see this last year? Like, do it yourself hit a record in sales. So people can say things suck, but like, I don't know. It's kind of like when people complain about like a console space, and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, like the 360 and PS3 generation was the biggest because everyone had to replace 360s. There were two competitors, and all three of them did well. Usually one or two do well. And so just because like, oh no, like the PS5 might only sell 120 million, or like 100 million. Oh no, is that really? And so I don't know. Like we're in a downturn here, but like I don't think the data suggests we're like it's dying at all. Yeah, really.
I guess like more into like the enthusiast side of things. I mean, what sucks to me is like if you were to be a PC enthusiast, like I don't know, about 8 years ago or so, then like things like the prices, like the cap of what you could spend wasn't as crazy as it is now.
Yeah.
Like now, I mean, if you're an enthusiast, like if you're like a top end buyer or something, I guess even enthusiast could be mid range, but just, you're into it. But if you were to be like a top end buyer, it's like crazy prices. But, if you were to look at, I guess some of the mid tier cards, I just don't like I'm thinking of like GPUs specifically. The the shrinkflation that's gone on with a lot of them doesn't really feel
especially
great.
on Nvidia's side. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's almost insulting how much they've taken away, because now you get an 80 class card, which used to basically be a flagship, just slightly cut down, and now it's like basically a 70 card, at least what it used to be. So that's the stuff that I don't like. Like they're really shifting things up higher, like higher prices. That it's almost like you got to go into debt to be an enthusiast. It's like, maybe don't do that. Don't clone your graphics card. It's not worth it. So, I mean, I don't think the enthusiast stuff is dead, but definitely right now with RAM prices and stuff, it's gonna suck for a while. Everything's expensive.
So here's and I'll even say, like, when people go, what do I do if I have to spend like $1,500 to get a 16 gigabyte card, or I guess not like $1,000 for the 5070 Ti or 800, whatever it is. I always respond, okay, well then don't get that. Get the 9070 XT for 700. But to be fair, that is mid-range, and mid-range used to be like $200. I remember, and now mid-range is 700. But then the other side of me goes, yeah, but like, think of what how good was a mid-range card, like a 6850? Yeah. Like you're struggling to do 1080p 60 with a $200 card, and now get a 9060 XT.
That's 4K.
You'll do 4K. Just turn on FSR. I mean, it's the experience is so much better.
What I think is really funny about the 9070 XT too, weird how it all worked out, but like its entire life so far was like it never hit MSRP. So it's basically like wasn't real. But then now it's the only card that hasn't really changed. Yeah. Now it's still at about 700.
And AMD said that in their earnings calls. They're like, we will keep making cards, whereas Nvidia is not making graphics cards, and so they're super expensive. Yeah, it's hard if the 9070 XT's MSRP was like $800, I would complain if it was $900, but it's still above MSRP, cheaper than its competitor that it's actually, I think, a little stronger than.
Cheaper. Yeah.
So I can't. I mean, what do you want them to be, a saint? I don't know. I can't really complain. There's
much
worse things going on.
When it launched, I was like, "There's no way it's gonna be able to maintain this." And nowadays, I'm okay with it. Like, at least we have something. But yeah, the Nvidia side of stuff, like to get 16 gigs. I don't know if you saw this too in the Gamers Nexus posted a video on it, but Nvidia just took out of their earnings calls to report gaming. So they're officially backed out of it. They don't, I think what their idea is they don't want to conflate gaming with this is actually an entry-level AI graphics card.
Yeah, because they did try that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other side of it is like the entry-level AI cards would be, they're going to be hamstrung, probably handicapped by VRAM, I would think, because they don't want you to be able to do too much on it, because that's what eats the rest of all their other products. So I think that really, like, future looking, the gaming cards, I don't think they're going to get a ton better because they can't cannibalize their own sales.
See, that's where things get interesting. And and I know that, here comes all of the comments that are going to be like, you say this every time and AMD always sucks. But I mean, there is an opening that I keep believing could happen where, so Nvidia makes like 60-100% profit on each card sold. Maybe not the 50-60, but even then they're selling a 128-bit card for over $300. So they make ridiculous margins. And people would say, well, then it's, is it really worth AMD to go for gaming instead of AI? And it's like, well, they can do both. And you have to understand, AMD is looking at NVIDIA's GeForce margins like their own AI margins. Like, so if AMD can like make a card that makes a 60% profit, they might as well try to take over the AI, the gaming market a little bit. And at the same time, NVIDIA, they don't even talk about gaming anymore. So this is an opportunity, because anytime AMD's had a chance with like RDNA 2 or like, whatever, the 7970, like NVIDIA's just flooded the market with supply, and NVIDIA might not do it this time. And this is where I'm going to say something, because I think this leak came out after the last time we talked. So I don't know if you saw this, but the way AMD's doing low end cards next gen with RDNA 5 is they're sharing chiplets. I talked to you before we started recording that, Helix and whatever I have no idea what they'll call the next gen of graphics cards, whatever replaces the 9070 XT in that price range will be the same chiplet. But then below that, there's a Medusa Halo chiplet, and that will be used for the 9060 XT replacement. And here's why it's interesting. They're not going to use GDDR7 with Medusa Halo. That means they're using LPDDR5X for the bottom half of their lineup, meaning they could give it 128 gigs of RAM. And I'm just wondering if we're going to have a world where which they won't for the gaming version, but
it still costs like crazy.
But here's the thing now LPDDR5X is in short supply. So I hope, and they planned ahead. They were so smart. They're like, we'll use this memory with a bigger bus and then we can beat Nvidia and GDDR7 supply won't be an issue. Now, I think the situation will be better by late next year. So whatever, but it's still funny that it might still be an issue, at least short term for them, but still. So
Medusa Halo, is that like a APU?
Yep. So it will have a CPU like chiplet, and then it will have a GPU chiplet. So and then you can actually add even more CCDs to it, I believe, or something if I remember correctly.
That's pretty cool.
So it's really interesting. I'm sorry. Yeah. Wait. Let me make sure I'm remembering the roadmap correctly.
Because usually I know that Halo stuff is usually a APU, some kind of SoC or something.
But let me pull up my roadmap here, make sure I remember. Oh, this is for Zen 7. Well, whatever. But yeah, they're sharing with their laptop APUs the same chip as they use for desktop, which means they could conceivably, assuming RAM prices come down by late next year, which I do believe they will. Will they be as cheap as before? I don't know, but
I remember when RAM prices were like, you could get 32 gigs for like $90.
Right. And that's what I try to remind people, because
it's really low.
If you have perspective, I look at like Zen 4's launch when everyone was freaking out about RAM. And I found like a hardware unboxed article on TechSpot where they're just like, hey, this is only $200 for this 32 gigabyte kit. This was reasonable. And I'm like, okay, so I know it's more.
It used to be that.
Like I don't think people should expect to go down to $80, but if it is even at 100, 150, that's still cheaper than like any other time in history besides like one section of 8 months. Like not everything's always going to be that cheap, but assuming we at least get back down to those sorts of prices, like 2022 prices, you could have AMD like launch a 24 gigabyte low end card, and then Nvidia has to decide between 8 or 12. I think that would actually be hilarious.
Yeah, I mean that could genuinely be an option. Would the bandwidth? Some of those can hit like 200 gigabytes per second, right, or something like that.
Yeah, because if it can use LPDDR6 or LPDDR5X.
Oh, okay.
And it has a 256 or 384-bit bus. So you double the bus, half as fast RAM. Yeah, it's fine.
That's a cool option, and it would be a similar GPU power to like I guess die size to be like a 9060 XT.
Yeah, and it goes up to 48 compute units of RDNA 5, so 20% more than 9060 XT.
Yeah, that's
so. Yeah, I think this thing will be 30% faster than that, and there will be an AI version with 128, 256 gigabytes of RAM, whatever the heck they do. Yeah, but again, I hope they do it because I think that would be.
Even for creators and stuff. I mean, that could be kind of cool. Like,
but this gets me into. Actually, and I'm remembering why I brought this up, because you said like Nvidia doesn't want to cannibalize their sales, and I agree. Like they don't want to let you get a 16 gigabyte card below $1,000. They just don't.
They're gonna have to at some point.
But what happens, right? If AMD's got like a 18 gigabytes for like the low end all the way up to the mid range, 36 for high end, 48 for like there's $1,000 card with 32, 36 gigabytes of RAM. Like, can Nvidia really afford to launch a 16 gigabyte card against that anymore? I'm skeptical.
It's starting to get ridiculous. Yeah. So right now it's like like you have to pay a little bit more if you want to get the same amount of VRAM on Nvidia, but sometimes a lot bit more, 5070 Ti. But at the same time, it's not that. Like they're not going to be able to keep that up forever. I agree. If it's like double.
But to go back to the question that was actually asked, it's like, how do you? I feel like, I go on I go on console podcasts sometimes, like Sacred Symbols, and there's a lot of Doomerism there right now too. And something that I think sometimes gets them mad in the comments. I don't know. Actually, maybe it doesn't. Maybe I just think it does. I haven't actually checked the comments, but like they'll say, what are we going to do if they do, like, what do you think about next gen coming out in 2027? Isn't that too soon? And my answer is always, I don't believe you if you think it is, because you all said the PS5 was too soon and it couldn't be kept in stock for like 2 years. So everyone always, I feel like there's just a problem with people like, this year is not next year. Like next year is not the year after.
I mean, we did see how fast it changed to this state. It was really over the span of like 3 months, and it could change.
They like announced the Steam machine, and then the market was like, "Good luck with that."
Yeah, poor Valve, man.
I actually kind of mad at them. You announced a console without buying the RAM first. What in the hell are you?
That is a little nuts. Not gonna lie. I don't know. Like, I don't know what their thought process was with that.
I don't think there was one.
Yeah. I mean, because it was going to launch relatively soon. It was going to be Q1.
For sure it was going to be. Yeah.
They messed up. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, imagine even if there wasn't a shortage, but like you announce it and then a competitor just buys all the RAM. That's why you buy the RAM before you announce. So people can do stuff like that.
Yeah. Or they're still looking at how is it going to like play out in long term. Like maybe they had some. I don't know if there's
right, because I wonder if they had some, but then they're like, well,
like, we could do the launch.
Go out of stock in a week. Like, what's the point in launching it?
Yeah, because like right now, at least for me, they don't have as much. They don't have any RAM in them. But the Steam controllers, those sold out immediately. I put my name on the reservation list. Mm-hmm. I think it was literally 28 minutes after the reservations went live. I still haven't gotten an email, and I'm pretty sure they did a restock. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they just like looked at it and they're like, oh, these things probably are going to sell. So maybe we can't just launch it with no RAM later.
But I don't know. We'll see. I'm kind of an optimist. I mean, I'm a realist about things, but
with the consoles though,
I think it has to be exciting next year. That's all I'm saying is like, and I think because like PS5 sales are falling apart because they're more expensive. I just think whether it's consoles or PC gaming, I know that a lot of boutique PC builders and pre-built companies, like the smaller ones, are falling apart. I just think all of that means no one's buying anything now. And so I just have a feeling that when we get to like late next year, everyone's going to be ready to buy again. At least that's what I'm thinking.
The demand's going to be there. I mean, it always kills me with, I'll get back to the console in just a second, but like kills me with like Nvidia because like the gaming market is still huge, and especially PC gamers and stuff. But there's still people are still going to buy consoles and stuff. So as like with the PS6, if they launch it and they can't get supply, I mean, what you're saying with the PS5, and it really wasn't in. I mean, they launched it out of stock, very short supply, and then maybe a year later. No, was it 2 years? Like it really didn't stabilize.
I think it was about a year. Like late 21. I think you were starting to because I remember because I moved to Nashville in 2021, and I remember even in I think late summer I was like leaving the post office, and like where I am, there's like you go through an alley to kind of get out of it. And there is in the alley, there was a guy I just drove past me, opens up a trunk. There's a PS5 in it, a guy handed him cash. I'm not even kidding. Like I'm like, I literally saw a scalper, like the cartoon version of it. I told my brother the other day. Like that night, like I guess some people are still scalping him because I literally just saw a guy in an alley sell a PS5.
I had a friend who bought, because he's a PlayStation gamer. He bought one. And then he's like, I don't really play it. I think he sold it for more than he bought it for. Pretty sure. So like maybe like possible. Screw Pokemon cards. Maybe we just start investing in PS6s.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing is like, I also think some of these companies are gonna, and again, I'm also assuming the AI bubble at least starts to deflate by late next year. I'm assuming that if it doesn't,
I don't think the AI bubble is gonna be like a big like instantly. I think it would just like taper like that because some of these companies are insanely profitable.
Yeah, but I think with something like that, it starts slow and then it gets fast, right? I think we'll have two quarters
all at once.
Yeah, where everyone's like, well, we're cutting. You're already starting to hear it in some earnings calls, like, well, we're starting to cut back on our AI build out, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and then all you need is that like one quarter where everyone reports that they're not investing anymore, and then the next quarter is when everyone flips out. That's what I would guess, at least.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, definitely the companies like, I guess Google just announced something weird, but they did all their stuff. But like the Microsofts, the Googles, the OpenAIs, those are the ones that like their profits are concerning. But like the hardware companies are chilling. Really, they're making so much money. So yeah, but if they don't get that demand anymore, if they stop building data centers, then it could go pretty quick.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I think assuming, we're not in the middle of a nuclear war, which who knows these days, or like something else happens, like another pandemic or something. I think as things are going now, things will probably start to get better next year. And because no one bought consumer hardware for like 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
There will be some companies that don't care, but I think like, for example, Sony is going to be desperate to get you to buy that PS6 because they're going to be freaking out.
Well, I even think with the current situation of PlayStation, I mean, the sales, if you think about it, I mean, like his history was like, they used to just make consoles at a loss, and then they would make it up with game sales and subscriptions and stuff. And nowadays they want them to sell on their own. But also like Sony themselves, I mean, they have the dominant console compared to Xbox.
Yeah.
There's still Switch too, but like their game sales and stuff, their first party stuff hasn't really been that enticing. I can't really think of any Sony games that made me want to get a PS5.
This piece of content is brought to you by David. So, for the past few months, me and actually especially my girlfriend have been loving the packages of David protein bars that we had sent to us. David has stood out as one of our favorite things that I've been sponsored by because we keep eating them months after the ad deal started. And it's because they've delivered on everything. Taste, texture, and macros. Seriously, it tastes and feels like cookie dough in your mouth, and yet you don't feel like you just ate candy afterwards. That makes it the perfect like late night snack if I'm working on one of those videos. Like I actually do keep some next to me here in case I get hungry at like 9, 10, or 11 p.m. Well, I'm just trying to get that leak out for you all before I go to bed. And so I actually still do use them for that purpose. And so it's easy for me to recommend, whether you want the gold bars that have 28 grams of protein, 150 calories, 0 sugar, and about 75% of the calories in those are from protein. I like these ones the most, but then there's also the bronze bars that are a bit more indulgent with 20 grams of protein, still 150 calories, still 0 sugar, but about 53% of the calories come from protein, which is still industry leading, and my girlfriend actually loves those ones the most. So if anything, gold is discipline, bronze is decadence, but either way, whichever one you want, maximum protein or still just industry leading with maybe a bit of a different texture, either way, they have you covered at David. And so I have to say, their stuff is built on real evidence-based nutrition. It's designed to support muscle gain, fat loss, and performance without relying on gimmicks or sugar spikes. And they're also gluten-free and blood sugar friendly, so you don't get that crash afterwards. I don't crash. I can eat a bar and keep working late at night without knowing there's like a ticking time bomb before I crash even harder than when I started eating the bar. And so if you want to try them, David is offering my viewers a special deal. When you get 4 cartons, you get the 5th one free if you use my link below or the QR code on screen. And if you don't want to wait, you can also find David protein bars at Target, Walmart, Kroger, Publix, and other locations. Although, of course, I'd prefer most if you did it through the link in the description. But either way, support Moore's Law is Dead by checking out David through the link below today. They've kind of destroyed. I'm actually interested to get your perspective on this because this is something I've been going into more and more and more recently, because I actually think this is a fascinating phenomenon that they're going to pivot back to first party exclusives next gen. This is starting to become more and more reported and it's fascinating to me because everyone used to say like, oh, well, you have to put your game on everything, including an iPad, because how will you make your money back? And we're starting to learn that actually you might lose more money if you put it on too many platforms. And I'm wondering if you've ever done this, because I did some polling with my community, and I like looked into like some of the numbers they reported, and it's like besides Ghost of Tsushima, basically almost all games they ported to PC seems to have not made more money than if they just didn't bother, because they'll sell like 10 million copies on PlayStation, and then they'll sell 2 million on PC, and it's like, okay, but those 2 million had less of a profit margin because they had to give Steam a cut of it. And then also they had to pay to port it and support the online for a certain amount, and like the patching and all of these, like if you put a game on Epic and Steam, you actually have to have kind of two different patching systems. It's a lot more support. And one of the main reasons I believe it's failed, and one of the main reasons I believe they believe that they can't do this anymore, is if you're gonna do a multi-platform game, launch it on everything at the same time, or don't. Because I acutely became aware of this with Death Stranding 2. You know, that comes out on PlayStation. Everyone's like, oh, the graphics are amazing. Oh my God. And then 6 months goes by, and all of my comments are, I'm not getting a PlayStation for that, because it's on PC. And it's like, it's not on PC. You're not playing it right now. And then by the time it comes to PC, it's an old game and no one buys it. Like, you miss the hype cycle.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. Like,
I've done that.
I mean, I went back and played some games. Yeah. I did go back and play. There would have to be a specific advantage to it being on PC. But then at the same time, why would Sony make the PC version significantly better than the console version? Like, that sounds stupid.
Content that's not on the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It doesn't make their business model. And if you were to look at Nintendo, they've pretty much just stuck with first party, and it clearly can work. Because how else do you sell the console? At the end of the day, it's a box that plays games. So what games it has matters. And if you just put everything on PC, like, okay, people will wait, or the game won't do as well. I guess probably what their thought process was, like, they probably knew that they weren't going to sell insane. Like, they put a year after. That was obviously intentional, so that you would want to get the console during the hype cycle. But maybe they just don't think it's even worth doing that. But to be honest, I don't know many people that have a PC and a PS5 personally. But
see, I might be the only one. See, it's like the worst of both worlds, because it's like all the people who would get the PlayStation for that handful of games they really want to play don't, because there's the perception that all of the games are on PC, even though they're not. Like, a lot of these games are not on PC actually. And you cannot get Demon Souls on PC. I think there was one game that just came to PC finally. It's like, you actually can't. So then you don't get the PlayStation. You don't buy their games because you actually couldn't get them when that was all being hyped up and when you were excited to get it. And then on PlayStation, you're like, well, why do I need this PlayStation? I can't, like, so it's our way. Like, it really just depresses sales is what I think they found. It's interesting.
And then the other side of it is, like, they just have to make really good games. And to be honest, they did such a big live service push, and almost all of that flopped. That was bad. So, like, if they made good games and they put it on the PS5 or PS6, I guess at that point maybe, then it's gonna sell the console at the end of the day. And this is clearly, I think, one, at least, like, Sony has had exclusives, because if you're looking at the console market, right, and you're like, oh, do I get a PS5 or an Xbox Series X? Well, at least the PlayStation has exclusives.
Yes.
Like,
not as some probably should, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, well, if you're going to pick one of them, probably pick the PlayStation. And I think that's why Xbox has really suffered, because technically they have a ton of first party studios. They're also not making very good games either. So for the most part, well, the new, what is it called? The Forza game came out, which is pretty cool.
That seems to be easily their best series in terms of consistency. But that's what's interesting too, is you're seeing Asha Sharma say, actually, we might do exclusives too, after they just spent 2 gens killing the idea of exclusives, because they must see the same sales data of, like, what, and I don't know what they'll do.
Box.
Exactly. Salty Internet Pirate writes in. He says, "Hi Vex, how hopeful are you about the next Xbox turning its ship around and bringing back competition into the console space? Also, do you have any thoughts on Sony ending their current port strategy?" We kind of already talked about that one, but yeah.
A very timely question. Salty Pirate is always in. So yeah, I mean, I made a video on it pretty recently with the Windows thing, because, like, it's the whole switch from Microsoft. It's like, oh, all of a sudden they care about normal people. That's crazy. I didn't know that they could do that. So, but, like, the Xbox thing, I mean, I kind of like the idea of it. I don't know. We haven't talked too much about Helix yet. I don't know how that's gonna manifest, because I'm like, it could run Windows stuff, I guess, or applications, but still be in a console form factor that'd be easily accessible to gaming. But I like that they're pushing to actually focus on making games, getting away from AI, focusing on their brand, because the perception, what killed me so much is that they renamed Xbox to just Microsoft Gaming.
God, what a dumb idea.
It's like, dude, you want to, how bland do you want it to be? I don't understand. So like, they took all the identity away from it. At least is getting that stuff back. She's surprised me, Asha Sharma, because I didn't think she'd be like that. Now, maybe she could just take a step back. She looked at how Xbox was doing and was like, wow, there's so many obvious moves that you could be doing. And there used to be like Game Pass used to be a good deal, and that was under the old Xbox. But then that got too expensive, and at least they brought back down the price a bit. I'm still never going to do that now. I had that for like almost, I don't know, like 7 months or something. They have the price on it. I was like, oh yeah, that just woke me up to cancel it.
It woke a lot of people up. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Game Pass, because what'll be really interesting is if Asha tries to put the toothpaste back in the bottle, because I don't know how you do. Like you ran ads saying you don't need an Xbox to play Starfield. I mean,
that's crazy.
You told your fans to not buy games, and that's how you make money. Are you really going to be able to convince them that, you know, there's a reason to get an Xbox again and you should pay attention to? I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a Herculean task, but maybe they can do it. And I don't think they can really get away with full exclusives, but maybe they could you know, I don't know how much they really need full exclusives. Like even like the 360, like BioShock came to PlayStation, Mass Effect came to PlayStation. Like none of them really.
I didn't even know BioShock was exclusive. Well,
I think it was for like a year or 6 months, 8 months. I don't know.
Well, they used to get the Call of Duty month before. I remember that.
I don't know if that's true.
It was like wouldn't it come?
Call of Duty 2 wasn't exclusive though.
Oh yeah, I don't think they're exclusive, but I think they used to get, because then they switched it over to PlayStation during PS4. I think
they may have had exclusive DLC
had like a
or
month
something.
DLC early or something. I forget what it was.
That one I think is correct. I think Call of Duty 4 may have gotten DLC first or something. Now maybe someone's going to tell me we're both wrong in the comments. I don't know, but they definitely were partnered with Call of Duty.
I was probably like, I don't know, 6 years old or something. So.
But you know, I don't know. I don't know that they need full exclusives. They could just like, if you look at their like GDK presentations and SDK, like there's this clear build it for Helix, then port it to PC, and it's easy and sell it through the Microsoft stores. I think what they're going to try to do. So you could have a game and just have it say runs best on Helix as the marketing. And it's like built with Helix in mind, because it's the same chiplet that will be used for desktop graphics. And perhaps they could just try to get it that, like, because if it's like a $1,000 console PC that is as strong as a $2,000 PC, and
that would be nuts.
And like, you know, the game was programmed from the ground up for two things, PS6 and Helix. You might just get the Helix to not like. I think they could maybe get away with that without it being a full blown exclusive.
Yeah, I mean, I could see, I could see some marketing points on that. With the Helix aspect, I mean, consoles have been switching so long, especially since they partner with AMD to be x86. And like, I mean, Xbox obviously runs DirectX. PlayStation has their own API and stuff. But the consoles have already pushed that way. And maybe, you know, they lean into Helix more. It's like, okay, now you don't even have to optimize all the little things like the controller layouts and how the game boots and shuts down, communicates with the Xbox. Now it's a PC. And your porting is so easy, because one of the issues I think we run into is we have so many platforms now, and developers are probably torn. Where do they put their time for a lot of this stuff? And Valve read the room on that and was like, hey, we're just going to do Proton and you guys can just use that. You basically make a Windows game and we just make it work on our devices. So like that's made it easier. And I think if they can ease the transition for developers, and even with things like it comes to like upskilling and stuff too, is like you got all of these different companies wanting to put their tech in every single game, and everything's exclusive to each GPU brand. And it's like, that takes eventually, I mean, maybe you can make it smoother based on the engine, like Unreal Engine, I don't think is that bad, but it's a lot of stuff you got to do, and it starts to add up for development time.
That's what I'm hoping too, is like Helix breaks this exclusive feature thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like devs go, dude, it's the same graphics card that's being sold to gamers on desktop is in here. Like, we're not going to put in this exclusive feature and have it meaningfully do anything, because we would be ignoring the consoles that are now literally almost PCs. Like, so we're not going to play ball with this crap anymore. At least I would hope so, because I know I had a developer on, well, I have him on often, but it was, I think, a couple of years ago in an episode where Brian Heemskirk said, yeah, one of the questions from a fan was like, why do we see like optimizations that they clearly did for the PS4 Pro not apply to this Vega graphics card? Like, what the heck? And he said, well, when we port it to PC, we build it for PlayStation first, then we port it to Xbox, and then we port it to PC. And when we port it to PC, we have to reset it with Nvidia money. He's like, we literally strip out all the optimizations we did for the PlayStation 4. Now, not all devs would do that, but some devs did. I'm hoping Helix makes it so they, like, you know, you'll have God of War with DLSS support and like not some AMD feature, even though it was on PS4. Like, yeah, I'm hoping Helix will break that and we'll start to get true software and feature parity on desktop next gen.
Yeah, I think it just kind of came to my head too. Maybe Helix is also a play too, because Microsoft has how they make. What always made me wonder is, how does Microsoft make money on PC gaming? Because like that's their motivation. So like, yeah, they make Windows, but you don't buy games from them. Like, who uses the Microsoft Store? So maybe Game Pass was a push in that direction. I don't think it's gone insanely well on PC, because it's just not. No, like people just use like Steam and stuff. So I could definitely see Helix as being, oh, you want a PC? Okay, you're buying our PC. It's almost like how they have the Microsoft Surface laptops and stuff, which are moderately successful. But yeah, if they were able to make their own PC at this point, it's almost like they can control the ecosystem a bit more and actually profit off of it, instead of everything going to all these other companies. But I think I have heard that there might be some. Is this true? Is this a leak or not? That there might be some third-party Helixes or something. Am I crazy?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think someone said that, and then I don't remember if someone. Oh, yeah, but then that was, yeah, I think that was debunked. I think,
okay, because that would surprise me.
I'm trying to remember. I think someone misquoted someone in some forum, and then they wrote all these articles, and really all that was being said is like, hey, they could, if they wanted to, use that chiplet in a laptop. And it's like, okay, well, that's not really the same as it being Helix, but it will share some of the silicon. And then that was turned, like, I don't think there's going to be the Asus edition of the Helix unless they make all of the Helixes.
Yeah. And then with the other stuff with like Windows and stuff, it does make me think about it in a way, is like, well, how does, like, why does Windows, why is it filled with ads? Why is it all bloated? And it's because, like, I mean, a lot of people, I think you even have a sponsor for them, the CD key offer. I mean, you can get Windows for relatively cheap. Yeah, they technically, that's usually from an OEM sale or something. And then
they
end up getting the key,
they like bulk
something.
Purchase the keys or something from, yeah. And it's because no one wants to spend $100 or
it's
$200.
Insane.
It's insane what they think they can charge for Windows. It's insane.
And if you want Pro, it's $200.
I think they actually sell it for less in other countries too. I don't know if you've seen this.
Wow.
That's a thing in Steam as well. Like, they will charge less for a game if you log into Steam from another country.
Yeah, like some people abuse it. It's meant to be used in a good way. But yeah, I mean, it always does make me wonder, is like, well, how does Microsoft really keep making money on you? It's like, well, they honestly, there are clear ways to farm your data. They're to sell you ads. And maybe even trick you on things like if you accidentally buy like Microsoft 365 or something, you're like, oh,
it's a nightmare for my aunts, uncles, parents. I have to be very clear. Uninstall OneDrive. Do not get the 365. You can just go buy it and keep the license for life. Do not get 365.
Yeah. I mean, I was even considering getting Excel. I still use Sheets, but Google Sheets. But it's just, how do they make money off of it? So like I could definitely see them with Helix is almost like, okay, what if Microsoft sold a PC? And this could almost be their way of testing that idea too, with like a gaming audience. because they tried this with Windows 8. I mean, they tried to make a store first kind of thing, almost not Apple, but almost an Apple like experience where like you kind of stick to their ecosystem. And obviously that didn't work. So
yeah. Well, I mean, it was just a terrible experience. I remember when they first started selling games again after they robbed me, because I don't know if you remember this, they had games for Windows Live. That's how I had played Age of Empires 3 a ton. I actually was old enough where I had the disc version. I had the disc version of Age of Empires 3, all the discs for the expansions, which was confusing. And I got tired of, by like 2012, having to find my discs. And my laptop didn't have a disc drive by then. And so I'm like, I'll go games for Windows Live and just buy Age of Empires 3. I do. They kill games for Windows Live. Age of Empires 3 goes away. I don't have it anymore. Like they literally took it.
Wait, it's just gone?
Yep. I could play it as long as it was installed, but eventually I got a new laptop. Yeah. So they robbed me and then they sold it on Steam. I didn't get a key. Now this will make you laugh because we already brought up this game.
Nuts.
I got BioShock on PC for free through GameFly when they tried to make a launcher in like whatever it was, 2010 or something.
That's crazy.
And
they did that.
Then when they killed it, they had this thing where they're like, we're trying to make sure you can still get it on Steam. And I was able to get them to give me a free Steam key for BioShock because they killed GameFly. And then that I later got grandfathered into the remaster of BioShock. I never paid for BioShock on PC. GameFly made sure I kept my free game more than Microsoft did when they killed games for Windows Live, which how hard would that have been to just give me it from the Microsoft store or something when they relaunched it? It's just insane.
You gotta say, is like, did you read that 100-page terms and conditions that like it was in there? It was obvious.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
But yeah, if you search Age of Empires 3 games for Windows Live, you'll find all these Reddit posts of people like, wait, really? They just took our game away? What the hell is, and it wasn't on Steam yet. So it's like, well, what the hell is this?
That was that Vista?
I think it did launch around then. Yeah.
It was around Vista. Okay. I've heard of
Live,
it.
Yeah. PC gamers hated it. I mean, it ran like crap. And it's the same as the Microsoft store. When that first came out, I remember they said you can't like full screen your games if it's from the Microsoft store. Like it has to be technically in full screen windowed, which is not as efficient as full screening a game. And they had all these weird quirks. And it's like, why would we ever get this on the Microsoft store if it's going to run like complete crap?
I'll take my Steam sale,
Exactly. So hopefully Helix is another reboot of the Microsoft Store, one where they don't take away your stuff, and they just have it run well. Like if they do that, they're never going to directly beat Steam, but they could at least become 10, 20% of the market. It could be a real option. It comes with Windows by default, so it's not like annoying to download like Ubisoft Connect to get that one game I have on there.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah.
So there's room here for things to go okay, I think, but it's.
I mean, I tried the Xbox mode. I don't know if you've tried that.
I haven't tried it yet. No,
it's actually pretty good. I liked it. It's surprisingly like.
That's a good sign then.
Yeah, you can filter by all your games, and you can specifically say open this in Steam or open this in Epic, and it will take you to the app with the page in whatever program you're talking about. It's honestly pretty cool, and then it gets out of things quickly, and you can press the home button or whatever it's called on the controller, and you can go basically alt tab between all your windows. And it's kind of similar to Xbox. I mean, if you look at the Series X, I remember they brought like Discord and stuff to it, which I thought was crazy for a console. That's literally like overriding the whole game chat thing.
I know they did it on PlayStation as well. And I was like, wait, why are we doing this? But I guess we do always use Discord to communicate now. And like, I'll use my phone just with like an earpiece. Someone will be on PC, someone will be on PlayStation. So having Discord on everything does make it easier. Yeah.
But that's like, a desktop app, and they brought it to the consoles, and it kind of works. My friend uses it all the time too. So.
Bespoke EP writes in and says, this gen Xbox games were held back by the Series S, and when next gen only games start being developed, Xbox Helix will be held back by minimum PC specs. Well, I don't know about that. We'll see. With far weaker CPU architectures and potentially the Switch 2. Do you see this as a big advantage for first-party PS6 only games? Being developed solely for Zen 6 class architecture and whatever speed they make the SSD, games can be built to require the speed, which wasn't really the case for PS5 because, again, that was kind of held back by the last gen that it kept supporting. I think this is a reason they might be abandoning PC ports. Well, actually, Bespoke, I don't know, but you paid attention, but this is something that I've said a lot. Like, so like I think Jason Schreier, I think at the Washington, where is he? I don't remember which outfit.
CIGN.
No, he used to be, but now he's at like a big serious place. And he has very good contacts in the industry. And he's reported that Sony is going back to first party. He was the one who broke that story, really, and he just doubled down on it. And I think Tom Henderson just backed it up as well. Now, I didn't have any of those contacts telling me that necessarily, but what I did know is with the specs of the PS6, and I was like, so from what I'm gathering, this ray traces better than a 5080 and has like 4080 raster and 10 Zen 6 cores. How, if a game was, and in terms of like AI performance, if you're actually going to use that for like even better upscaling, and who knows, maybe there will be NPCs you can just talk to, like the difference. So like, to put things in perspective, the Xbox Series X has like 50 tops. The PS5 Pro actually designed to use PSSR.
50.
Well, the PS5 is like 20. That's the one thing the Xbox had, and they've never utilized it for anything really. But we'll see what happens with FSR 4. I don't know. And then the PS5 Pro is 300 tops. The 7900 XTX has 123. The 6900 XT, most people don't have a card as strong as the 7900 XTX. This 9070 XT is 1500. So I don't know what the tops performance. I didn't see that on any doc for the PS6, but I think it's conceivable. It's 1500, 3000. I don't know. So I think there's a real question here. If any game is built for the PS6 and Helix, like actually trying to use it well, how are they going to make this game run well on some PCs if these consoles are capable of like maybe almost 5090 ray tracing and not that much raster, but still like that means, and like the tops performance they have like is like a tenth as much in a 7900 XTX. I have a real question about, I think that's a main reason they're also going to exclusives again with PS6 is Sony realizes, oh, these are all just going to be up-res PS5 games unless we leverage the hardware well. And if we do, I don't know how we port this to, the average person is a 3060. I don't know how we're doing that.
Yeah, and if it would take too long to do that transition too.
Right.
And
even more expensive to make it work. Yeah.
It was a long time. Yeah. I don't know how long, maybe they want to accelerate the PS6 one too, but with them being like exclusive and everything, it could give them an advantage. With Helix, everything being on PC, I mean, technically speaking, everything's always limited on PC. The only thing is like with like AI performance and stuff that does, like if they put gameplay features in that use the AI performers, that fundamentally is part of the game, that's where it could be an issue. And I think that's where we're going to be getting, like, it's just going to be a long time, basically.
But that's the thing is like, will this be an advantage for Sony? Maybe. I mean, if all of their devs know they only have to work on one platform and this platform has all of this special new hardware, yes, I think it could be an advantage for Sony. Having said that, this idea I had earlier, the runs best on Helix marketing, maybe they just make sure they push devs to also put it on Helix and say, yeah, look, minimum requirements are like a 9070 XT for 1080p. Dang. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, that's what we're going to have to do. And it'll just be a few years
until to make a lot of Helixes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I think about exclusives on like PlayStation stuff too, those are some of the coolest experiences, I think, because when they start using like the controller features and all that stuff,
which works on PC now, which is pretty cool actually too, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to be plugged in, or can you just use it?
I think they just patched it so I always plug in my controller if I use it anyways, just because I sit at a desk but I think they patched it and you can do it wirelessly. I
hope so, man. I hope so. Yeah, but those are the coolest things. And Nintendo does it all the time. Use the tech from the console, and that's what makes it unique. And I would like to see it. That sounds fun.
Yeah, so we'll just have to see. I mean, is Microsoft willing to push devs to say, hey, utilize the Helix, and if you have to make the minimum requirements, the 9070 XT or 9060 XT probably, do it. We don't care. We want this to run well. And my suspicion is it will just depend on the game, right? Like, StarCraft 4, isn't going to they're going to make sure that runs on everything. But it's conceivable Red Dead Redemption 3 isn't afraid to have really hard minimum requirements, and then that's what they did last time. So I think it's just going to depend on the game.
Yeah, it depends how scalable it's going to be.
Look, let's be honest, storage is really expensive this year, and so if you can avoid buying more of it until prices come down, you really should. And that includes if you have a catastrophic data loss event, or it looks like your drive is breaking, instead of going out and buying a new piece of storage immediately, you should really try to recover that data and recover your drive. And you can do that with today's sponsor, Wondershare Recover It. Look, it is honestly one of the worst things that can happen to you as a person, or even to just someone like me who's a creator. Maybe you have a drive with tons of pictures on it that you've just left there. Maybe you didn't think about them all being on one thing that can fail, or you're a creator like me, you shoot a bunch of stuff and then suddenly something happens and it feels like everything's gone, but it doesn't necessarily need to be gone. And that's where Recover It comes in as a natural solution to this worry. You see, if you think you've lost data, what you should really do is just stop using that drive immediately to avoid overwriting the files first, and then open up Wondershare Recover It. Recover It can scan for lost or corrupted files from solid state drives, hard drives, SD cards, and even formatted storage, going into that formatted storage and trying to recover things that you thought maybe you accidentally deleted or someone else did. It can often recover those even. Also, it is incredibly easy to use. Just check Recover It's high Trustpilot score, and you'll see that it's at least partly due to the fact that it is very easy to use and everybody says so. And so that's really what you want though, right? After a data crisis, you're going to be stressed out already if you thought you lost everything. And so you should really have the most easy to use interface that can restore data standing by, so that you can restore it with one click. And well, again, that's Wondershare Recover It. So one more time, before you go out and buy new storage after a data loss, it's definitely worth trying Recover It first. And you can do so below for free. You can go down and download the app for free to try it out. And just remember for the future that it's free to do so. You don't need to buy some other app, and you don't need to buy a new SSD right away. You can download Wondershare Recover It for free, scan your drive, and see what files are recoverable before you pay somewhere else. I'll throw this in. HMS writes, and it says, "Hey, Tom and Vex, big fan of both of your channels. On FSR4 finally being supported on RDNA 2, I'm curious why AMD chose 2027 and not GTA 6 release day." Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. That is a good point. You'd think you'd want that ready by GTA 6.
I think, yeah, I did read this before. I don't think GTA 6 is launched on PC at the same time.
Oh, that's true. I
don't even think it matters.
Well, the thing that would matter is if you want it to come this, because this is a video or a short, at least I put out recently, is like I understand the Series X isn't remotely as good at running AI stuff as like modern graphics cards. But if the Steam Deck can run FSR4, as Digital Foundry showed, certainly the Series X could use some version of FSR4 to make its games look better. And the PS5 is pretty bad at that stuff. And so you wonder if they would want to get FSR4 working on Series X by the time GTA 6 launches. And maybe Sony might want to rethink some version of PSVR.
It might even be, I mean, what always has questioned me with all the FSR4 stuff on all the RDNA 2 stuff, I mean, like you're saying, the AI performance is low, especially on a lot of the lower end cards too. Because even when we reference it, like a 6900 XT, that's the best one, and it's still exactly barely anything. And I mean, we see it with the PS5 Pro that they got Int 8 FSR4 running, because that's what it uses. Now with PS5 base is 20 tops enough.
I think
to
it's
run
about
like
20 tops, and that's through FP16 fallback because it doesn't have Int 8. So it would be
8.
No, but apparently, and this came out of that FSR leak that forced AMD to finally support everything. There's 3 code paths in FSR4. It is the standard one, Int 8, and then there is still FP16. So clearly AMD has a way to do it with FP16. So they could, but it would.
They might have to make another version. Is that?
Well, I think Sony would have to port it themselves as PSSR Lite is my suggestion, which they could do. It won't be as good as Xbox's, but like if the Steam Deck gets it 30% boost from FSR 4 with 6 tops, I mean, certainly the PS5 could get something, that looks much better than the FSR 2.0 junk they make. or even FSR1 sometimes. I think with RE9 is what they used on PS5 and Series X for some reason. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it didn't look good. I remember that. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the reasons why it's delayed, honestly, it should already be here on everything. I don't even know why they didn't. It should have released on everything at the same time if they really cared. Like when,
or at least
RDNA
within a couple months. Like we're working on the
soon.
last gen, you know.
Yeah. I don't know why it's taking so long, to be honest. And to me,
I think we shamed them into doing it. I think I was told they paused development, and then every single
like, screw it, we're done.
And then every single comment section was like the example I give is like they would have like a YouTube video that comes out on the AMD channel, and it's like, we're partnering with BMW to make AI blah blah, and then the comments would say, cool, could you drive to getting FSR4 on RDNA 3? Yeah. And so I think they shamed them. Like all their even on Twitter, like Lisa Su couldn't post on Twitter without, like, she's like, you know, here with some billionaire trying to look cool. Every comment, where is FSR4 and RDNA 3? Why do you not support your products well? That would have looked really unprofessional to AMD's partners. So I think they were shamed into doing it. Yeah.
I mean, it's still not a good look at the end of the day, but like, at least we're getting it. That was like my perspective on it. Like, we did something. Gamers did something. And it looks so much better because I've tried Int 8 but it's on RDNA 3. I haven't tried it on 6000. But like, it looks good. It's usable. What makes me wonder is with the RDNA 2 stuff, even RDNA 3, and I've emailed AMD multiple times about this. They still haven't emailed me back. I even asked the guys, like, do I email somebody else? Because I don't know if you've know this, but they've done some weird stuff with their PR.
Yeah, they're scaling it back.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's less people. Like, my PR rep's gone. So I was asking, I was like, okay, well, is it going to run better than what we're seeing right now? Or did you guys find out a way to do this or something? Because that would be the only thing that'd be like, okay, maybe it's justified it being delayed, you know, because it does run a lot better than what we're seeing. Because right now it looks good. It's obviously FSR 4.1. It's a different version than what we've been using. And I'm wondering if they were able to make performance improvements or something, but I can't confirm that, to be honest. I don't know RDNA 2 would really do that.
Well, my biggest smoking gun for the theory that they were shamed into doing it is, if you actually go back and look, they turned off comments on their YouTube channel like 2 weeks ago, like right before they announced it. Like, so I think, and it was the like MSI Claw, and they're like, MSI's like, look at AMD's going to post a marketing video for us. And then like every comment is, you MSI, where's FSR4 on your hand?
It's like my 79er XTX is crying right now.
Like, you want us to buy your stupid handheld? I can't even use FSR4. And then they turned off comments after that video. And I believe that's when someone finally.
It's been the most ridiculous thing too, because like you have a Strix Halo laptop, right?
Yes, and I got it assuming it would get our FSR4. I did assume it would because people told me it would.
It's like, oh, you can do it? Yeah, and that was like those started coming out like last year. So like they even released new APUs at CES that they talked about it for like 2 minutes during their Consumer Eat Shit show. But they announced that, and all those are RDNA 3, and they don't support FSR4 until now. So like it was bad because like Intel was obviously releasing their stuff, and that could do AI upscaling and stuff like that. It's like,
yes,
why?
It's such a bad look. Yeah.
Why are you not thinking future at all with this stuff? And of all the things to not include in the APUs, why didn't they include the new AI engine? Why, you guys are all about AI. What happened? So it gets a little ridiculous. And to me, at least looking at AMD is like, okay, at least their APUs are more useful now. That I would look at those APUs and I'd be like, well, it doesn't have FSR4. And
I know they're about to launch Gorgon Halo, and Gorgon Halo also uses RDNA 3.5, and I think a lot of their low end products will continue to use it for the next 3 years. I mean, what are we doing?
That's crazy.
I see, because my point always was too, it's a much bigger issue for laptops actually than it is for dedicated, because it makes no sense that like because they rebrand APUs, like you're going to be selling 90% of the APUs that people own will be RDNA 3 or 3.5 for the next 4 years. Like, what are you talking about? You're not going to support.
This is going to be around forever, and they didn't think to do that. I don't know, every time I see the announcements, like, you guys are nuts. Like, what is happening? And it makes me think with like AMD, if I don't know how they behave as a company with gaming and stuff. It just never really feels like they quite get the message or read the room right. It's just constant, and especially
and it's weird because they'll read the
that
message perfectly one time, and they'll nail a launch, they'll nail the drivers, the pricing, and then like a week later they'll just do the biggest blunder you've ever seen. It's like, how can the same people that made this decision make this decision? I don't understand.
Yeah, and then with this stuff and them threatening, they were gonna do it, but they threatened to, stop doing drivers for RDNA 2 and 3, not 2 and 3, 1 and 2, sorry. And it does worry me if like you'd want to buy these products from them, how much you can trust AMD.
Right. I didn't regret getting Strix Halo, but if it never got FSR4, I would have thought twice about getting an AMD APU in the future. I mean, probably not the next ones, but I'd hesitate to tell anyone in my family to get one that wasn't the latest because I wouldn't trust it.
Yeah, you don't know if the tech's going to be supported. I mean, of all the things, like, and nowadays, like, if Nvidia is just completely out of the gaming market, then, or if they just don't care about it, then that's going to suck too. But, at least we do look at some of the tech, and Nvidia has supported the tech, except for FrameGen, on a lot of their products. So, and their driver support's been recently not good.
No, it's been pretty bad last summer.
But they have supported their old products for a long time. Like, they just dropped Pascal like last year.
Think about it. Like, if it weren't for these PR blunders from AMD, Nvidia's recent drivers have been garbage. Like, this is a chance for AMD to be seen as the better obvious, support. Like, you got AMD, you're this close to people perceiving you as having the better drivers, and then you do this. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And they even have products available right now too. Mm-hmm. It's like there's so many easy wins. You would think. It does make it be like, why the heck did they not do it? To me, it's like they gotta, like, they're obviously, as a business, like, this isn't the priority or something, because why wouldn't you?
All right. Well, we had a whole conversation halfway through the reader mail, but his actual question was, how do you feel about extending the lifespan of current gen consoles with better upscaling? Do you think they're going to, or they're going to save the latest upscaling for a Helix and I guess still PS5 Pro kind of, and PS6 to get you to upgrade? And I'm of two minds about it. I think my gut is that Xbox might add FSR4 and Sony won't bother to add PSSR Lite to the base PS5. But the one thing that makes me question that is GTA 6. Were GTA 6 to already be out, it's like, if you're Sony, they already have, it's rumored, a marketing deal with GTA 6. Do you want Series X to be able to claim, when they can't get it on PC, that they run GTA 6 the best? Do you want them to be able to easily claim that? Because these games come out every 15 years. So if you get them to buy it on PlayStation 5, they will keep playing it and buying DLC on PlayStation 6. Yeah. I don't know. PS5 Pro, I'm sure, will run GTA 6 great, but what do you think? Do you think they bring these upscaling methods of some form to the current gen consoles, or ignore them?
I mean, I think that they could. I don't know how performant they're going to be, obviously, but the thing about it, what I always noticed with console players, though, they think it still runs at 4K, and it does make me question: is like, it's like, how do they market this, right? Because when I think about how the PS5 came out, really, I mean, a lot of the games ended up using upscaling, but really, I don't even think FSR 2 wasn't even out at the time, so there was some temporal stuff that didn't use AI. But their marketing point, I'm pretty sure, was more like, oh, this can do ray tracing, and it really can't do ray tracing.
The PS5 Pro can pretty well, but the base console is really
base
not.
Is awful. You would just never.
Do you remember Watch Dogs on the Series S? That
I didn't even see that.
That got memed on a bit because they insisted on leaving ray tracing enabled on both the Series S and X, and the Series S ran in 720p. And you've seen this in games, like the reflections were just like 2009 YouTube resolution. Like,
Yeah,
it
they're
was
literally
hilarious.
pixels.
Like, yes, I'm like, just turn off ray tracing, dude. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I don't get it. But yeah, that was like one of their marketing points. I remember seeing like the PS5 was announced and it was like the Spider-Man thing. You could see his reflection and like, whoa, that's crazy.
That's like one of the few games that used it very well. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's basically, but it's like, how do you make the marketing? And to be honest, I think people without slow motion zoomed in footage on YouTube and stuff can really tell like console players sitting away from a TV. But if they could market it in a way, like I don't even think the PS5 Pro marketing with PSSR was that effective. And that's when it got that. Obviously PSSR.
Yeah, Resident Evil 9 is the biggest marketing push for that finally, and it looked good on a game and like everyone talked about it.
Yeah. Because it didn't even launch that well either, to be honest. PSSR looked bad for a while. So like if you can market it, then maybe. And maybe, yeah, if Xbox were to do it though on GTA 6, I think Sony would have to do it.
They'd have to respond somehow, probably. I mean, but they might just go, get it on PS5 Pro, but I don't think that's going to cut it. I mean, you don't want the GTA outsells consoles. It is bigger than a console generation, actually. So to not maximize that, we'll see. I guess we'll see what they do, but I'm hoping they do, because again, and one developer told me this, and you'll probably laugh at again how stupid AMD was. When AMD announced FSR 4 is coming to everything, all the way back to even RDNA 2, which surprised some people. One developer said to me, I asked their opinion, oh, good, now we'll finally support FSR 4 on PC. We weren't, because it was only on 10% of their GPUs, because most people haven't bought RDNA 4 yet.
Yeah.
And it might be the same with like devs supporting PSSR on PS5 Pro as well. It's like, hey, if you release a PSSR Lite, more games will get patched to support it for Pro too, Sony. Like,
yeah, and they won't get stuck with the old crappy version too.
Well, yeah. I mean, it'll probably look better than the original PSSR anyways, even if it's like a Steam Deck edition of FSR 4, but still.
Hey, it's better than FSR 3. So
yeah. Which I was told, by the way, this is just a random thing. A developer told me that Xbox right now has plugins for FSR 3 in their SDK for Series X.
Okay.
PlayStation stopped at FSR 2.2 for some reason. He said it stops at 2.2.
Well, it's interesting, and like
that's probably when they made
there's
PSSR.
Not that many games, but FSR, to be honest, FSR 2 and 3, they don't look that different. And in fact, sometimes I think 2 looks better.
Maybe that's what Sony thought. Yeah.
Because I had it's like in Cyberpunk on PC, they still support FSR 2 and they have FSR 3. They have both of them, and they default still to using FSR 2, which is a funny part in the setting. So maybe it's just because they thought it looked better.
Clean Sweep writes in, hey, Tom and Vex, I was listening to a gaming podcast and the host pointed out that the cost of console hardware in games is making it harder for console makers to get parents to buy consoles for their kids and create new fans. How do you think hardware manufacturers should handle pricing and sustaining their customer base into the future? So I don't know what Xbox is going to do, but I think, look, inflation's inflation. Eggs cost twice as much maybe, but eggs aren't any better than they were 10 years ago. I do think as long as they... Like, I think the Switch looks fairly reasonably priced in today's market, in my opinion. I mean, I remember at first people were a little mad, but you look at what's happening with everything else, and I'm like, I think as long as Sony has some version of something below $600, I think most people will accept that. I don't know if you agree, though.
I mean, it's kind of. I mean, I think of like when I was a kid, and. I don't know. We got a 360 at one point, and I forget how much it cost. And later on,
probably like $300 or something.
Yeah, probably something like that. And I bought with my brother. We pitched in and we bought a PS4, and that was like, I don't know, it was like 350 or something.
At launch, it was 400. Eventually, it went. It kind of held its price pretty well the whole time because Xbox cost more.
Maybe it was around 400 when we bought it. So to go up to the PS5 was 500. I forget if that's a disc drive or not.
There were versions without it. It's now
Yeah.
600 without a disk drive.
And then I don't know, 600. I don't know. It kind of stacks up, I guess. I don't like it. If they were to be able to maintain something like that, I think parents would still probably buy it. Though I think just like as an economic situation for a lot of people, is they're not buying it on debt or something. Just in general, I think the economy is going to have a bit of a hard time.
Me too.
For like family spending. So I think people will cut back on that kind of stuff. But I still think kids like games.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, if a mid-range graphics card is now like $600, and then I think the base PS6 like standard console probably will be somewhere between $550 to $700, but then you have to get a disk drive separately. Hopefully, you can use the old disk drive. That'd be cool. And the handheld, if they can make the handheld though, like $550 or something, because it uses a far cheaper APU and cheaper RAM and cheaper pretty much everything and less of everything. Or do some, S version where it's the handheld, but not a handheld. As long as they can keep that at a reasonable price, I find it hard to believe, even if, yes, $550, let's say, for a handheld isn't cheap, they'll go, that's $50 more than a Switch 2 and half the cost of me building them a PC. So I'll take the $550.
They might be able to do something like that. Do you think they're going to be able to dock that?
Yeah, it does. It has a docked mode. It's not as insane. Like the frequency difference isn't as big as like Switch 2. I think it like doubles or triples the frequency of the GPU. The handheld's like, again, and this is a dock that at this point now is I think over a year old, but at least they were planning, hopefully still are, or I don't know. Like it's like 1.2 to 1.65 gigahertz. So like I honestly have a suspicion that the dock is like a $5 piece of plastic that has an HDMI. It's like a cable management like thing. I doubt it's because if the difference in frequency is 30%, I bet they just spin the fans higher because you're not holding it. That's my guess.
And they could probably ramp the power up a bit more or something.
Yeah, and it's more consistent power delivery. So my guess is it uses less power when it's not docked, literally just to save battery life.
Yeah, I would think so too. Yeah, and I could see that as somewhat an entry point to consoles and stuff like that. And that's why if like prices are going to be rough on the next generation, and there could be like a shortage at the beginning, I do see Sony also supporting PS5 for a while. And still, I mean, I still know people that still play on PS4.
Yeah, they hate that, by the way. They're like behind the scenes sending out updates like, hey, have you considered not owning this anymore?
It's like, hey, we're going to stop patching this. Mm-hmm. Please buy a PS5, please.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, is I think that handheld's going to cost about the same amount to make as the PS5 base. So I think the real question is it going to be kind of like, I don't know if you remember when like Maxwell came out, like immediately Nvidia was like, Kepler's end of life. This generation sucks compared to Maxwell. Do not buy it. Like they stopped manufacturing basically all last gen immediately because it's just so inferior and on the same node.
But it'd have to be reasonably priced then,
It would be. That's the thing. Yeah. Like because I think a lot of people didn't upgrade from PS4 because there's this perception that it wasn't a big uplift for some people, and for other people it was like more expensive and hard to get. Like to some people, they thought it was like $700 because they would have to go to a scalper or whatever. As long as it's available and not more expensive than the base PS5, I think that kind of skips a lot of the complaints. Like people weren't mad they had to get a PS5. They were mad they couldn't get one for a good price.
Yeah, it's really if they can hit the price, I think. And also because I could see with like, PS4 days, it started to hit like a point of like, I don't know, power level and realism and graphics that people were like, I don't really like need an upgrade. It's okay. And a lot of people are fine at playing at 30 FPS. Let's be honest. They don't even know. So I could see it being an issue if they don't hit the price point, but they really need marketing points and things that actually sell it. And that's why I think if they can do AI features in the games that isn't just upscaling or frame gen or something, because that's quantifiable to people. Like it would change the way you play. that's what, at the end of the day, like we're enthusiasts and everything, we care about, graphics and tech and all that stuff. But a lot of people couldn't care less at the end of the day. So yeah, if they can do that and make it marketing, hit the price, I think people will buy it.
Yeah, and especially if it has exclusives, like if they're like, hey, I know you're on a PS4 and I know you didn't get a PS5, but this is actually like the same price as a PS5 anyways, and it's a handheld, and like here's 5 launch exclusives and we're going to bring out more. And by the way, you can't play GTA 6 on your PS4, so you've probably been waiting to get that, haven't you? I think all of that together might actually make quite a boom for that generation.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I agree. Yeah.
Lucas writes in and says, with PS6 and Helix choosing fairly conservative CPUs, he says 8 core. That's not. The Helix is 11 cores. The PS6 is 10. Says, who will AMD and Intel sell their 24 or more cores to if gamers have little need for them? As long as the console is the baseline, PC won't go too far beyond their capabilities. Will they merge those products into HEDT, make them luxury items to flex on your friends? Yeah, that's something I've been talking about is like, I think PS6 will like target 4K 120. And of course, they'll be with dynamic resolution and whatever. But, it'll look pretty good probably. And it's like, well, okay, so if like I'm trying to remember what it was. If like a 52 or 54 compute unit, like 10 core CPU, like if that gets you to there, like, I mean, I guess the answer is you get Zen 6X 3D to game in 240 hertz, right? But beyond that, I'm kind of wondering what, like, I talked to you about this before we started recording. Like, I'm wondering if we're going to be in another i3 era, or I don't know. Like, what do you think? Because if you go to Amazon bestsellers, even already, people don't buy more than 8 cores, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you check Amazon, the Zen 3 stuff is still very high sellers. It's like CPU power, people are relatively okay with it, and then the core count. We talked before the show, and one of the big things, if there is a decent amount of cores on consoles, that's when games will start to use more. Is like nowadays we're starting to see consoles have 8 cores, games are starting to use 8 cores like completely. And as that's gone on, if the consoles get more, but you said they're only getting like 10 to 11 somewhere in there, based on leaks. Yeah, so it's not an insane amount more. And then AMD is making these Zen 6 and even Intel too. Nova Lake's gonna have a lot of cores too. To me, the games won't use it, and it ends up being not even really a flex. But if you can use the cores, you have the cores, And a lot of people use it for like virtual machines and that kind of stuff. You need more cores for it. And if we do see a lot of, now we've had like Intel with E-cores for a while, AMD with relatively accessible like 12 to 16 core processors, I think we could see apps and stuff on computers use a lot more cores and be more multi-threaded. And we've been seeing that over time. So that gets me excited because I have a 13700K in my system and I don't think I use it. So like I think it's always limited by single threaded somewhere. It doesn't have the best single threaded performance.
It's still pretty close to the best, honestly, even for now.
It's good. Yeah. Yeah. At least on compared to Macs now, but compared to PCs. Yeah, for sure.
By the way, I just checked Amazon bestsellers. 8 out of the top 10 are 8 cores or less and CPU bestsellers. So
6 cores. Yeah.
I guess we'll see. I mean, there's an argument too of like, kind of like now I think the PS5 has 1 or 2 of the threads for the OS. Yeah, so it's really more like a 6 core, 6.5 core, 7 core. And that's why 8 cores runs really well because, well, you're not resorting to hyper-threading before 8 full cores. Like maybe 16 cores will get a bit of a boost or something because, well, if they had to use hyper-threading to like make it work, you're able to use full cores per thread or something. So I could see something like that. But even then, right, I'm talking like, okay, so that's like 16 cores max, not 52 cores like is in Nova Lake.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I do think
that might be ridiculous,
And for what? Yeah. Cinebench? I mean, what? I think there's a genuine question.
Cinebench
for what?
Demon.
Yeah. Let me see here.
I don't know how this goes. I'm not a developer, so I don't know.
Sure.
I know it's difficult to scale cores, and that's why it's not done as much. So I use DaVinci Resolve, and the graphics engine in it uses usually single core. It's usually limited by it on Fusion, if you guys know what that is. So I could see maybe if it's super common, but I don't know. Chrome still uses mostly single core. So.
Here, I got a couple questions related to this. Yeah, let me ask this one now. This spring, Jessie, like many Belgian Malinois, is starting her own logging company outside. And I gotta say, watching her do this, it's bizarre. It's almost as weird as someone paying full price for Microsoft Office or operating systems, and that is why this piece of content is brought to you by cdkeyoffer.com. That's right. Once again, the longest running sponsor actually of Moore's Law is Dead, cdkeyoffer.com, is sponsoring this piece of content, and that's because I just think it's something that should be out there, something that our community should always know about, and that is reasonably priced Microsoft keys and also deals on different pieces of software like games as well on their website. Now, if you're interested in supporting Moore's Law is Dead and thus supporting a sponsor that supports Moore's Law is Dead, go to cdkeyoffer.com through the link below. Just clicking on that link helps a ton. But then if you do go there and want to buy something, make sure you use offer code BrokenSilicon to save 25% on all Microsoft software and Die Shrink to save 3% off everything else on the website. Again, they've been a great sponsor this whole time. I love working with them. It's easy to work with them, and they provide a service I think this community needs, reasonably priced Microsoft keys. So support Moore's Law is Dead by checking out cdkeyoffer.com today. Luke writes in and says, I'm still on AM4 with a 5800X. Nope, not the 3D. I am a software developer and I game a lot. Currently with the 3090. With how I instruct agents in last month, I'm feeling lack of multi-threading power here. My single-threaded performance is fine, but with the new consoles, I also expect it to not be enough in a couple years. Maybe. I mean, on the other hand, I am quite hardened and can wait some more to get the best out of my money. I would like to avoid buying into a platform without major upgrade paths. Should I? He gives us 3 options. Buy Intel Nova Lake with its upgrade path. How substantial will that upgrade be? A lot better than Zen 3, but it says, should I buy Zen 6 instead? Only 24 cores sounds great to me still, and it will have a Zen 7 upgrade path. Or should I wait for AM6 and buy the first thing there? So I'm going to say option 3, no. AM6 is like
it's probably
30 or something, and I don't think some people get how much faster. Like Zen 6 is going to be above, I think, 6 something gigahertz. Like they're targeting 7 gigahertz, and it's going to have a mountain of like hundreds of megabytes of L3 cache in the X3D version, and bridge dies to lower latency. Like even without X3D, it'll be insanely lower latency. A better memory controller too. I mean, that's going to like double your single threading performance. I wouldn't wait for AM6.
Well, he's talking. He doesn't need too much. Yeah, he doesn't need too much single thread. I actually have a buddy that he's building like a server and wants to run like VMs and stuff. And like we're trying to look at like, well, how do you get the cheapest way just to get cores? If you just want cores, doesn't really matter how fast they are, but you need to be able to dedicate cores so they don't get conflicted on things. And we were looking at like a Ryzen 3900X. Or 3950X. I think the 3950X is like, I would want to say around, it might be like 160 used. So like you can get cores for cheap. Now, I think even a 5950X on Zen 3 I don't think it's that bad a price. I think it's like a little over 200 or something. Maybe like 200 to 250. And like that's a lot of cores. If you just want cores, then you can do that. I don't know how the Intel stuff, like all the E-cores, I don't really know how they scale in terms of like VMs and everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you don't need to upgrade, honestly, the Arrow Lake refresh is pretty cheap for just raw threads. But if an upgrade path is important to you, that's not an option, I guess.
Yeah, you can get 20 on the Arrow Lake.
Giving it away.
24 cores. Ooh, that's a lot. That's pretty good. So, I mean, in my opinion, if you just want cores and you want to keep the budget in line, you just stay on AM4 and get a 5950X or a 5900 XT or whatever it is.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that was a 16 core when they announced it. I'm like, why is it called?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it would be a 12, but
yeah,
that's what I would go for. If you really want to spend more money, I if you don't care about upgrading, then it's not that big of a deal. You could get Zen, the new Zen stuff, but that doesn't really have more cores.
So yeah, my advice is if you don't want to upgrade unless it has an upgrade path. Like the ugly stepchild of every AMD lineup, I've even argued maybe they shouldn't make them, except they do because it allows them to sell cheaper yields with one of the CCDs than otherwise, is the 12 core. The 12 cores are like, no one buys them. They always get the most discounts. It's kind of like your i7 actually is the 12 core. It's not a 12 core, but of the Intel side, the i7 is always a bargain compared to the i9 or i5. So I would say just get even like a look on eBay. Like, is there a 7900X for, $300?
I've seen new 7900Xs go for like, geez, I want to say like 250 to 300.
I think they're going up in price a little bit because now people are buying up CPUs for AI. But no,
last year, they're like
there's a 251 refurbished one on Newegg. So and it's Newegg refurbished, so it comes with the warranty.
Yeah, and that gets you on AM4 if you need the connectivity of like PCIe Gen 5 and maybe better IO, that kind of stuff, DDR5 RAM speeds.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to like double your multi-threading and give you 30% more single, which he said he doesn't even really care about. I would just, because I think people forget you can sell your old stuff. So
True.
Like, and some of this Zen 4 stuff is getting so cheap now that it's like I've answered questions like this recently where they're like, should I get a, I just want to save money. Should I get go for the 9950X3D? But I only game. I'm like, well, if you only game, get a 9500X3D, and then you can upgrade to 32 core Zen 7. I mean, I don't think you'll notice the difference between any of these in gaming compared to just the cheapest X3D. So, I mean, I think that 5800X, I'm guessing on eBay, you can sell that for at least $80. Your motherboard for probably $50 to $80. They don't usually hold their value very well.
It's a pretty good board.
And so now you're to like 150 or more. So you're spending $100 to move to 12. I mean, you have to get the motherboard too, but I don't know.
DDR5.
Yes. Which, I mean, I don't know if this person's in America or not, but there is a way to avoid it. It is Micro Center. They will still give you the bundles with it. That is the only way to do it. I don't know. I know there's deals like that in Canada.
I was thinking about going to Micro Center because they're doing a Arrow Lake refresh deal. You can get a 270K plus with a good motherboard, like a really good motherboard. And I think it was $550. You got that, and you got 32 gigs of RAM, and it like wasn't a shitty.
You're getting the CPU and the RAM for free, basically, with
free.
the motherboard.
So RAM is like half that.
By the way, sometimes Europeans get so mad at me when I mention Micro Center, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I do know from some Canadian fans that they have similar deals sometimes at some of their stores. I don't know what deals you have in Europe, but I do know they do exist sometimes. I know they're probably not as good as Micro Center, everybody.
I think the bundle's gone. Dang. Sorry, guys. Wait, no. Wait.
There's going to be something.
No, there is one. 270K plus for $550, and it comes with a Z890 gigabyte board. Comes with 32 gigs of RAM, and it's like, I think the RAM is CL32 or something. It's 6400 CL32. Not bad RAM. Usually throwing like the really, really bad stuff in those.
Yeah, so, and I think
it's a good board.
Don't let, perfect become the enemy of good here, right?
It's a solid deal.
When you have a Zen 4, or certainly if you had Zen 5 right now, and you're like, oh, should I wait for Zen 6 or get Zen 7? Well, that's a real conversation because you have a pretty new thing. Do you really need more? But once you get to like Zen 3, once you're that old, just upgrade. I mean, like if you don't need it, don't. But if you are actually being limited, you don't need to get the 9950X3D2, man. You can just get a $250 12 core that will run circles around what you had. And then you can upgrade to like whatever the heck they do with Zen 7 that's going to be like a nuclear bomb compared to a firecracker. So you have that ability to upgrade. Just get whatever meets your needs. And there's a lot of cheap stuff now on AM5.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, AM5's good. If you don't need upgradability, the LGA, what is it, 1851 or whatever?
Yeah,
that one's good too. That's the Intel stuff.
And for Nova Lake, I think that'll be cool once it's out and its prices have stabilized. But right now, my concern with getting Nova Lake would be, okay, this is going to need a new motherboard. That motherboard's probably going to be $500.
Yeah.
And what speed RAM does this 52 core need to maximize it? Because AMD doesn't need that fast RAM of RAM to like run well. You already got people like, oh, I got my RAM to 9,000 so that Arrow Lake can still lose to X3D by 20%.
Yeah.
What a accomplishment. I mean, are you going to need that to maximize Nova Lake? I don't know. Maybe you won't, but I would be a little, and there will be a version of Nova Lake that will have a lot of cache. Maybe it won't need it. That might cost $800 though. Do you want to spend $800 instead of $250? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like whenever a new platform launches,
Yeah,
it's usually pretty damn expensive because they want to make that early margin, and they don't know how really have the supply yet, and it's usually expensive. I do wonder if they need RAM speed. I am kind of curious if they're gonna actually start pushing. What is it? It's CAM2 memory, right?
Yeah, they might start doing that more and more to get to the higher speeds. Yeah,
because it makes sense. So I could see that. I just don't think that going to a platform is usually worth it immediately. And also, is there leaks for this? Is there any guarantees of how many generations they're really going to do on Nova Lake?
Yeah,
I know it's more than the other ones, but
I've been saying for a while they'll have a few, but the leak I put out about Intel last week, by the time this comes out, it'll have been last week. It says in every dock, not Arrow Lake, Nova Lake, and then also it lists Razor Lake, and then also it lists Hammer Lake. So, and a Hammer Lake is, how do I put this? Like in between those, there will be something called Titan Lake, but it's mobile only, so kind of like Panther Lake or something. So you're getting like 4 or 5 years of the latest generations, and they seem very serious about doing it. So, it's not as good as what AM5 will end up being with Zen 4 through Zen 7. That's going to be nuts. But at the same time, relatively speaking, Intel will have a new gen every time AMD does on AM5, and probably one extra one.
Well, you can also see it too, because with AM5, they didn't really guarantee that many generations, but they only guarantee Zen 5 and then at launch.
Yeah, I don't know why, because they were going to do more. Like, why? Just tell people, yes, you can upgrade. Like that makes.
I wouldn't be surprised if Intel is able to squeeze more out of it or something, but I can't count on it either. So I wouldn't buy it thinking that's going to happen.
Yeah, you never know which way it's going to go, because I do know that Meteor Lake was supposed to be on desktop. It was supposed to use the same platform as Arrow Lake, and there was supposed to be an Arrow Lake refresh with more cores. So they were actually going to have 3 gens, and they ended up having effectively 1. So, I mean, if things go well, yeah, maybe they could squeeze one out. But there's always that part of me that's worried they kill one of the gens. But I don't think so. I think they're pretty desperate right now. I mean, also that Amazon CPU bestsellers that'll have jar put on screen again. All AMD. So I think Intel's pretty desperate, and I don't think they're going to make that mistake again this time.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Intel, I think in terms of enthusiasts, which are usually people who buy individual CPUs, yeah, they're suffering. I don't know really how the pre-built kind of stuff has been stacking up now. I know AMD has been working into more pre-builts. So I think Intel, they got to be hungry.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're at a risk of just being out of pre-built. I mean, like they basically were when Threadripper came out. There's no HEDT, no one even considered them. They're one more gen where AMD crushes it against them, and I think you start to worry about like pre-builts just completely shifting to AMD, and some of them, not all of them, and I know a lot of mom and pop. Some of my contacts in retail are just mom and pop stores, like smaller 1 or 2 location PC stores. And a lot of them have already switched to all AMD because they don't have the scale to like have a big Intel partner that'll give them free i7s or something. And they're like, we just don't, after Raptor Lake breaking, we just don't carry Intel anymore.
Yeah. Imagine the warranties. That's going to go back to the builder.
They're still breaking, by the way. I keep trying to remind people when they're like, what about, like, I think one guy in Vietnam told me that one store he knows has they have like a 200% RMA rate, meaning the same customers come back multiple times to RMA the CPU, and then it comes back and then breaks again. It comes back, breaks again. It's a fundamentally flawed architecture.
Yeah, it is flawed. No, I mean, I switched over to Intel, in like, I want to say like October, November 24. It was like after all this stuff really happened. I was like, okay, I'm going to make a video if things start to go bad. And I was like, nothing's gone bad.
Well, you have the i7 though, right?
I have the i7.
It was above that. And then for the Raptor Lake Plus, the 14900
there was less failures in the i7s, I'm pretty sure.
A lot less. Yeah.
Raptor Lake refresh,
all of them,
even the i7s were failing.
Yeah.
So like, I just didn't want to spend that much at the time. I was like, I don't think I need 4 more E-cores. I'll be all right. But or is it? I don't know.
Yeah, they did. They went to 12. Yeah. From 8.
So like, the 13700K. I've had no issues with it, but I am on the latest BIOSes and stuff, which maybe help slow it down.
Yeah, they help slow it down, but help stop it from breaking. But if you have i9 or higher, it will break. It's going to break eventually.
What actually kills me too is like they made Raptor Lake. It had this problem. They're like, wait, let's refresh it.
I know.
Do it again.
Do it again. Like it's just insane.
It's crazy. They had to have known something. That's if they didn't, then I don't know, man.
Well, in a constant problem Intel's had in the past, and I don't know if they fixed it by now. Hopefully, is they're so big, different teams don't really talk to each other, and so I think I'm just guessing here. I think one problem you could have had too is like one team says we've fixed it, and they haven't. I mean, that happened with Arc all the time. Raja Kadori basically just hid Arc from the rest of Intel until he got fired after it launched. But I mean, you could totally have a situation where they're like, oh, we're sure we fixed it. And then the marketing or like RMA department's like, doesn't seem like you have, but you told management this is good. Here, I got a voicemail here I'm going to play from Dangerman1337.
Hi, Tom and Vex. I was wondering with the new Intel leak with one particular part of the Race Lake slide, specifically the 8P BLCC tile with no E-cores. Interestingly, it seems to be using Intel's own foundries to fabricate it than TSMC, seemingly on 8P node using Panther X architecture. I suspect if that die on that process performs very well clock-wise and yield-wise, I can see it having favorable BOM costs, especially against Zen 7 XVD, potentially with quote-unquote good enough performance, if it does at minimum double the PS6's CPU performance in gaming scenarios. Intel could price it quite affordable at no more than $400 worldwide, or low as $300 worldwide, or even perhaps low with summer or Black Friday deals, which in my view would be great for gamers. I mean, AP cores with L4 LPE cores for background tasks with a load of cash at competitive pricing sounds very ideal for gamers.
Yes, and this is a funny thing. So the last leak I put out, I just focused on the fact that they're bringing back hyperthreading eventually. They're killing off E-cores and kind of like outlined what's canceled and what's not. And there were some people that were just like, you didn't even notice that they're going to do this. And it's like, well, if they're killing off E-cores, then yeah, I think most of their lineup's just going to be, there'll be an 8-core die, a 16-core die. And will that be good for gamers? Yes, but AMD is going to have the same thing. So I don't really see it as a relative bonus because, I mean, I just did a whole Zen 7 leak where they're going to have, what's it called? It's called Silver King is the die's code name, and I call it the Short King. And that's because it's this tiny little square die that's 8 cores instead of 16, so they can still have a budget 8-core. It's basically the same thing as what Intel's going to make. I mean, and so I think they'll just be competing with each other. I guess maybe that 8-core from AMD doesn't have Vcache, but if it runs at 7 gigahertz, I don't know how threatened AMD really is in the gaming department with their $300 7 gigahertz 8-core.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be relatively even. That'd be my process. I think it is funny how AMD started the whole basically CCD thing, chiplet design, and now it's like all manifesting where basically everybody was like, oh, that was a good idea, let's all do that. And Intel does that. Even Apple started doing that on their new chips, so they can tile out the GPU so it doesn't affect their yields nearly as much. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't actually hear the whole question, to be honest.
He's basically talking about how if they have an 8-core and then it has 4 E-cores for background tasks, that could be really good for gaming. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, I think AMD will have the same thing probably. I don't know.
Would this be like a APU laptop kind of chip?
Let me just open it. So the roadmap was this Titan Lake? Oh no, that would have been for. Let me just look here. I think this was like I shared like one part of the Hammer Lake. Again, this is like 5 years away or something. Roadmap, but I didn't show the whole thing because it's like my sources weren't that comfortable with me showing a whole roadmap that's all the way out to 5 years. I understood.
Like, yeah, we're gonna get caught.
Like, not to mention they're like, this is going to keep changing. So like half of these specs will probably be different by then.
Imagine the clickbait you could do. Damn.
I know.
Missed out.
But I'm restrained. I have to. Come on. The clickbait was saying they're killing E-cores. I mean, I already did the clickbait. Yeah. Don't worry.
No, you're cooking. You're cooking.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. What was your question?
Oh, was it mobile chip?
No, this is desktop. So
this is 8-core with four E-cores.
And it seems like they might have a 12 or 16 one as well. And when he says E-cores, it's just like on the whatever IO die thing, not like really on the die. So I think most of the lineup for desktop is just going to be kind of looking like AMD, honestly. And then
that sounds like a very console approach.
Oh wait, no, actually I take that back. I'm looking. I won't, because I said I wouldn't leak the roadmap, but looking at Hammer Lake, no, actually a lot of mobile is basically only P-core as well, with
that's interesting.
Low power E-core still on, you know.
And this is Intel, right?
Yeah, and when I say E-cores, again, it's probably just like what AMD would call a
they're just renaming them. Yeah.
So no, you're right. Actually, it's not just desktop. They are. I only see one design with dozens of E-cores for the i9, which they do still call i9, by the way, on their roadmaps. The Coral's just so stupid.
I agree. It's too long. I remember, I have them stacked up like on side by side. Sometimes, like, how do I even like write it? Do I write Ultra 9? It's like, man, that's like kind of long. But then U9 looks stupid. It just looks bad in like every single like slide.
I think that's why they added the X, because they want people to say X9.
Something. Yeah.
Or X9.
The GPU ones. Yeah, I agree. This laptop has a 285H. So this is the mid tier. It's like Arrow Lake on laptops. And that I think it's 6 P cores and like 8 E cores. I think that's what it is. So it's really pretty solid for a lot of CPU workloads, and even for gaming. I think it performs pretty well. Now it does cap out, but I think it's interesting to have, like, you have your cores that just work in the background and they kind of just take care of the system stuff.
Yeah.
Or any of your other apps. And I think it just also optimizes for the current thing you're trying to do. If you can focus all of the big cores on that thing, then they don't have to shuffle around other things. I bet the latency is like better or something like that too.
Yeah, but you can just do that with more big cores. that's why.
Yeah, let's just put. Maybe we just put 100 big cores on it.
Yeah. I mean, one of the Hammer Lake ones was kind of like that. Actually, it wasn't 100. No one flip this numbers and say it's 100. I didn't say it was 100 big cores, but it was dozens of big cores and then a multiple of that of E cores. And there's just a part of me like, we'll see. Look, it's 5 years away. Maybe we'll be wanting this, 60 to 100 core, but I just kind of doubt anyone needs that on desktop. I don't know.
Turn into a GPU at that point. Like, what is happening?
That's what I was wondering too. Do we even need the iGPU? Could we run the game just off the cores?
All CPU.
Maybe that's why they're canceling Arc, because they'll have so many E cores.
True.
They don't even need a GPU.
Then they put the Nvidia chiplet on there, and that's just like the AI accelerator.
It's like the cell processor. They last minute learned they still needed an Nvidia graphics card because cell isn't good enough. Let me see here. Jay Buffet writes in and says, "Hello, Tom and Vex. With RAM and NAND capacity currently being fast-tracked and the AI bubble getting shakier, we are looking to hopefully see the end of this misery sometime in the next 3 to 4 years." Well, that's like the safest bet on earth. 3 to 4 years is a long time. Yeah. Add to that the rampant competition in CPU and AMD finally giving Nvidia a proper challenge at the top. Am I wrong for seeing this as essentially an era of plague, which will eventually spawn a renaissance? Keeping the history question in mind, this situation in graphics reminds me of what happened with CPU. Intel got lazy. Their Infinity 4 cores forever let AMD catch up. And well, so all right, I'm gonna stop reading this. I do. Well, he just says also what's the next rabbit Jensen pulls out of a hat? I think I might know because that's the more fun question, in my opinion. But anyways, though, so he said a lot. I guess I think there could be some kind of renaissance because I think if the AI bubble pops in the next year or two, like a reason it might pop is because they get the models running well enough that then they don't need to keep training them anymore. And if that happens, I think people will move to have them locally. This is something Wendell from Level 1 Techs recently said on the podcast. Like I have Minis Forum sent me this, AI PC, but it actually is. I mean, this has Strix Halo in it. And he says he can run a language model on it right now at home. It's as good as like ChatGPT was a year or two ago. So not that good, but better than you'd think. And I do think like there will be a boom in personal computing. I've also heard there's this trend where the cloud is less and less people are using the cloud because it's actually becoming more expensive than just backing up their own stuff.
Just buying it, yeah.
So I don't know. I think there could be. Would you agree? Like if the bubble pops, I think that we've kind of been saying, like there could be a real hunger there to like rush back into consumer that they've been neglecting because those sales will fall apart by then and they can't afford to not maybe be a little more generous.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see really at the end of the day, that would be end game, if we could get all this AI stuff running locally because, okay, yeah, they want to own the hardware. Obviously it's best for them. But, putting it in the cloud, like I don't see a reality when there isn't any latency to using cloud stuff. So if you could run it, yeah, I mean, like we'd have to like quantum tunnel through the world or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like that just doesn't seem realistic to me. So like if you can get it running fast enough locally and can like is it called quantizing the models and stuff to really get them efficient? That seems endgame to me. And the hardware manufacturers can, all those ones, the same Nvidias, the same AMDs and Intels and Apples and everything, they can pivot to doing consumer. But yeah, I do wonder what would happen to those data centers though. Like,
see, that's
they would still want to
train.
There's just too many of them,
Well, if any of them actually do what they said they're going to do, and that's a big F, and make their own energy, like they build a bunch of solar for their own data center. I mean, that could then just be sold back to people in lower energy costs after they shut those down. But unlike the mining bubble where we got $180 Vega 56s, flooding the market, which was awesome. I don't know. I mean, look, there might be budget. You might see like their $10,000 professional cards hit eBay for $2,000, which would be cool for developers, which would further make it easier to run your AI locally. As if the data centers sell off their stuff and then people just run it locally on it. But you're not going to have gaming cards as often flooding because half of them aren't gaming cards at all.
They kind of transition
for most of them. So I don't know. That's a lot of wasted sand. I mean, honestly, I think they're going to be like shipping these things to like Hong Kong and Bangladesh where they're going to be taking apart AI servers to save the RAM. I think that will become a cottage industry.
Probably. I can see that. And these things clock out. Like their depreciation. Eventually, like they're not really that useful anymore, especially if consumer stuff could start doing it. Like that'd be crazy. So the GPU side of things, what's different about this time, and what I think we might see too, is with last time, like with mining, there were gaming cards until there was hardware accelerated cards. That really what came around for it. And I think we're starting to see this, like, yeah, GPUs are effective for AI. And I guess they're like CUDA is pretty, like, you use it for other things too. So it isn't just stuck to AI. But like we see like Google making Tensor GPUs. And we see a bunch of other Chinese companies doing this too. That I wouldn't be surprised if there ends up being more just a very dedicated hardware accelerator kind of like whole data center thing. And then GPUs and stuff would be okay for us. But I also see too is like I forget what his name was, but the guy who commented, he's saying 3 to 4 years. I almost have been seeing it every 3 to 4 years. There's another thing.
Right. So that's what I think. I think there could be a crash, but then maybe there's hopefully it's a consumer one though. Maybe there's a boom for a consumer AI, and then eventually once you shrink it down enough for consumers, that means you can also put it in a robot. Then that's when you get the robotics boom. But I don't think the robotics boom would be as like damage. I see that as just much more utopia than data centers raising our energy prices. A robot building a car for you, that sounds much cooler to me than endless data centers giving people depression in cornfields. Like I just think it's a different boom.
Can I just have my computer, please?
No, but you can't have depression and higher energy costs. Oh, thank you.
Oh, and by the way, cloud subscription. Yeah. You know that too.
Yeah. And you don't own it. Isn't that fun?
Yeah. I love that part.
But we kind of touched on it. He says, finally, what's the next rabbit Jensen will pull out of a hat? And I've said, the way I've described it is Jensen keeps laundering his booms into the next one. Like he said, they overproduced for the mining boom. Right. Yeah. And then I think they could have had a couple of really bad earnings quarters, except right when the mining bubble popped, they were able to shove it all into AI. So once AI pops, I don't know where they go next, really, because it's become so huge. I mean, eventually robotics, but there'd have to be some bumpy period for them. Like the amount of money being forecasted for graphics cards that, again, Wendell at Level 1 Tech says they can't even plug them in. Like right now, Nvidia is prioritizing who gets GPUs, not based on who ordered them first, but based on can you plug it in when you get it, because they're sitting in warehouses. Yeah, because the data center was blocked by the local government, or they just don't have the power to turn it on, or the rest of the components. They've ran out of CPUs to power them.
I mean, that's all he talks about. If you hear Jensen talk, he's like, we need to get power. Power is the biggest issue.
Yeah. So
it's constant.
Like, I mean, if that's the bottleneck, even if they had a robotics boom in 5 years, I don't think there's going to be some year where they're just not making the trillions of dollars they thought they were.
Now, the real concerning part is like how committed, say, like Nvidia is to something like this, because, I mean, they took out gaming from their earnings reports. Like that's crazy, actually, especially because like gaming on its own is still like a multi-billion-dollar industry for Nvidia.
Yeah, it is. It's still growing.
Yeah, it's still growing too. I don't know what Nvidia is going to do at that point, because they'd have to pivot back to consumers, like, and also the consumer sentiment.
Oh my God,
it's not great.
No, they're like same. And again, this is not good. Not condoning it. The same weekend, the CEO of OpenAI had 2 attempts at his life at his house. 1 bomb, 2 they just shot at his house. I mean, and it's accelerating.
Yeah, it's terrible,
and the response, I forgot what that podcast is. Founders, I don't remember what it is, where they're like, oh, I think you just have to tax the middle class more. And it's like, that's your message?
Oh, boy, really?
That's the it's like, really? That's your solution? Do you see you're polling worse than Congress? Okay. I don't that my opinion is within a year it's going to stop, because people will just make it stop because they're so mad at them.
Yeah, I agree. Eventually we'll get prices good again. Hey, I think it's a period, and I think honestly, as a CEO, my solution would probably be tax the middle class. And can we also lobby the government more, and maybe insider trade?
Yeah, like these
are all good ideas that make a lot of money.
And if people complain about high energy prices, what we say to them is, well, it's going to happen whether you like it or not. Oh, that people usually respond well when you talk to them that way.
Love you for that. Yeah.
And so I think it's going to hit a fever pitch by next year. I think
it's ridiculous. I mean, like you can't just erase everybody from the planet and just exactly
go to Mars,
farm them and just do whatever. Like, it just doesn't work at some point. They have to.
It's like they watched the movie Elysium and they're like, that is a good idea. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Yeah, I remember that movie. Yeah.
All right. I think that's pretty much it for the main discussion points. But I got 2 more questions here. Christian Visconti writes in and says, hi, Tom and Vex. I bought first I bought my first liquid cooler to assemble for a friend's PC. As a loyal air cooler fan, I was actually very surprised what a 67 euro 360 all-in-one is capable of. Now that the Acetec patent is a thing of the past, I didn't know that. I can see prices going down on excellent hardware. Do you see all-in-one water cooling gaining even more popularity in tower and full tower PCs? What do you guys prefer between air cooling and water? So, I mean, I've used liquid cooling. I don't know if I still. Let me look here. No, I switched to an air. Yeah, I know that's how much I mess with my PC these days. No, I forgot. I switched to an air cooler because I'm using a Minis Forum motherboard, so it doesn't need it because it uses a mobile processor. A mobile processor that uses more than 100 watts. Oh, that's your main PC. Yeah, it's a 7945HX3D, so it's a 16 core with D cache, and the whole thing, the motherboard.
GPU to it?
Yeah, it has 2 full x4 PCIe Gen 5 slots. It doesn't have any SATA or any other, so only 2 slots. And then it has full x16 PCIe 5.0 slot, and the heatsink, the motherboard, the CPU is all together for like $500. So I don't know. It uses mobile RAM, but whatever. I don't know. It's for most budget builds. I recommend if you can't get to a Micro Center, they have like the equivalent of like the 7700X. Like they have that for $300, and it has the heatsink and motherboard included. So I don't know. You can't upgrade it, but
is it little because it's minis?
It's ITX, yeah.
ITX, okay.
Yeah, I definitely think those are worth looking into. But anyways, before that, I did use a liquid cooler, and I think they're kind of just standard now. They're like so cheap. If they get cheaper,
pre-builds, yeah,
definitely. Like if you build your own, like
people build their own. And to be honest, what's really funny is I have a PC out in the living room area. I call it my slave PC because it just renders for me.
Oh, I see.
I got some big side-by-side renders that could take like over a day or something. So that one, I used to have water cooling in it. Mm-hmm. And I just got a $25 air cooler and it does better. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, like obviously CPU temps are a little bit higher, but when it's rendering, it really isn't the CPU. What I was more concerned about was the RAM getting too warm.
I see.
Because the AIO is, I had the Arctic Freezer 3.
Oh, they usually make pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But even the VRM fan, it cools the VRM as well, but it doesn't always hit the RAM quite right. And that's what I was most concerned about. Now, I thought I was having stability problems on there because it would be rendering for like 24 hours or something, and then it would be like, I'm going to crash.
Oh, jeez, that sucks.
Yeah, so it's not great, especially when you're trying to get something done. And I was like, why is it doing this? And I was looking at the RAM temperatures and they don't seem very high, but they're at like 50 degrees. But that's not the die temperature. That's not the chip temperature of the RAM. It's just like a little controller on the board that does it. So like 50 is not high. But I thought it was the RAM temperature. I will say I swapped her to air cooler. I'm probably going to still stay with it because I like the peace of mind of air. And Thermalright makes some damn good cheap air coolers. Mm-hmm. Like I have one that I just put it on the my testing PC, and it literally just goes around it. It's $25-$30, and it just blasts the air into it. It can cool up to like 200 watts or something. Mm-hmm. It's actually crazy. The stock fan's kind of loud, but you might want to turn it down a little bit. And on the PC out there, I think it was just a BIOS issue.
Yeah.
I was like, my BIOS is a little old, and there is something that says stability improvements in it. And I have 8,000 RAM in there. So I was like, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean,
I usually like air. That's me.
I've gone with liquid for a long time, but I think moving forward, I'll use air because I can't see myself getting in. I'm just going to wait until I'm being fully transparent. I'm going to wait until Minis Forum sends me a Zen 7 Minis Forum motherboard. I mean, why would I? Because ever since I don't need more. I don't need the latest, fastest X3D. I think these CPUs are well beyond what I really need. Kind of like you with Raptor Lake. I mean, I just don't. And so I'm just going to, I want stability, and these motherboards are really stable because they run like a verified like mobile processor at 100 watts. So it's like using half the energy a desktop processor would use, which also dumps less heat into the case for the GPU. And I don't see the need for more than that. So that's why I'm unlikely to ever use liquid cooling again, is because I don't think I need the fastest anymore. But
your setup is like as a die, right? It isn't. You don't have an IHS.
No, it has the heatsink already on it. They do sell one that is no IHS, like raw die from a mobile CPU that you can put a thing on, depending on which one. Now, if I was, I'd probably use a liquid cooler because I do like how much smaller they are and they work pretty well. But it's interesting. We'll have to see. Like if they make the all-in-ones better, there is a real question I have though. Like you're not running the latest, 400 watt nuclear reactor from Intel, nor 200 watt coal furnace from AMD. Like you're running something that I think, unless you were running Cinebench, probably stays relatively cool enough. You said it mostly just uses a couple of the cores.
Well, even if you even if like you max out your CPU every once in a while, I was like, you don't do that all the time either.
No.
Like, let's be for real. I mean, like, even if it throttled a little bit, it's okay. Unless it's Raptor Lake, then it's not okay.
Yes, unless it's the top Raptor Lake, yeah. But my question would be, I'm told that Zen 6, they might try to hit 7 gigahertz. And if Nova Lake is 52 cores and 52 cores and a die this big,
sounds like a space heater.
Yeah, I would have to wonder if like liquid coolers are going to just kind of be standard if you have above a mid-range build.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I mean, they get heat away faster. It just really depends how much cooling do you need. For me, is like they're not that expensive now, AIOs, and they're good. I don't really like that you have depending if you have a VRM fan too, you have to kind of manage 3 sets of fans just for that one cooler. And also the pump can fail. I guess we'll see with like Ace-Tech stuff if they'll be more reliable now. But I just like, a fan fails on the air cooler, just replace the fan.
Yes.
Pretty easy.
And for me, I'm all about stability. I used to. I mean, in college, I went to college at a place called Michigan Tech. It's like north of Wisconsin, that part of Michigan, like way, way, way up north. Like if you opened up Tinder, you would swipe and it would be people in Canada. And I'm not actually kidding. Like that's how far north you are, like across the river. And so
that's funny.
Like I would like overclock my 7970 and I had this Delta fan where it would cut you if you touched it. Like it sounded like a vacuum. And I would open up the window, up north, like where it's like negative 10 degrees outside. Like, oh, can I get this?
Oh no, you need to water cool to outside.
Yes, I could. I could have like had it outside there and then piped it back and forth. Like, so, I used to do that a lot. I just don't anymore. I just don't want my thing to crash. I'm so sick of crashes.
The water would be good with that too. So,
yeah.
I mean, if you want peak performance, water. But air is like good now, like, and it's cheap.
See, because water is good at bursty workloads, but I have to wonder if it's sustained heat. Do they eventually get close? I think unless it's a really nice liquid cooler, eventually
we need a lot of radiator space, right? Because you can technically, like, there is a cap to how big an air cooler can get if it's hanging off your motherboard. Mm-hmm. But with liquid cooling, you can just keep scaling.
Yeah, you can use a whole refrigerator if you're Intel and you want to show off a whatever that was, 28 core at 5 gigahertz or something. All right, Valentine writes in. He says, what is a near future hardware or software thing that you are excited about?
Exciting in tech. For me, I when I think about hardware and stuff, I mean, that's usually what I get excited about because what are you capable of doing? And I usually even look at things like, I'm not going to buy that, but like in like, maybe in like 3-4 years, that would be a pretty good use thing. And with the hardware, I mean, the hardware's been pretty lame lately, at least what we've been getting. What I'm excited about is kind of what we talked about with Nova Lake and Zen 6. Those actually look pretty cool. Like actually bringing a next, because we haven't really seen, say, like AMD up their core counts on consumer for a long time now. I mean, they kind of pushed forward, mainstream chips getting at least 6 cores. Now that started that. And nowadays we all have that. So I'm curious of where things end up going with it. And that's probably the most thing I'm excited about. And other than hardware, I don't think there's really any hardware I'm excited about.
You know, your eBay point's really interesting because with how long AM5 is going to last all the way to frickin' Zen 7, that means a lot of people will upgrade and a lot of people will sell their old CPUs on eBay. And you could see a situation where in this weird world where like there's this like $1,000 32 core X3D that, I mean, is as strong as a Threadripper was just a few years ago, and yet games like 3 times better than Zen 4. And that's up there, and you're like, oh, that's really expensive, even if it's cool. It's like, yeah, but all those people that bought that sold their 9950 X3D2, and it's now on eBay for $300. And there's going to be a lot of old stuff. Because, I mean, I don't know what it would sell for on eBay, but by the time Zen 7's out, really think about it. The top one is probably a $1,000 32 core with X3D. What is a 16 core with X3D from 2 generations ago that runs 40% or something lower clocks? What is it really going to sell for? I mean, for it to be the same price performance, it would have to be like 300, 250. Like it might even be cheaper. So I think we're going to have a flood of really cheap stuff.
Yeah.
On eBay, well, there's crazy stuff
be
that's
significantly better on the new stuff, and then that'll happen. Because I mean, that's how I usually shop. The thing is, like the GPU side, like I'm curious if we're gonna get a big uplift in GPUs because, I mean, with the new generation of consoles, maybe it'll push it forward. But you know, all of the we've really been getting very incremental stuff in GPUs
unless you get the 90, which is $3,000, which that one still gets actually stronger every gen.
Well, that's the best investment you can make, you know.
Oddly enough, if I sold my 4090 now, it was a very good investment, actually. Oddly enough. Well, but okay, on the raster side,
that's pretty low. Yeah.
On the raster side, it's not that insane with next gen. I mean, they're not weak. I mean, they're like probably around 40, 80, 50, 80 in raster. But in ray tracing, I think they're going to like, the stuff I've seen is like, what did they say? I mean, the exact metric was something like 6 to 12 times the ray tracing performance of PS5. And if you like math it out, you get to somewhere like 50, 80, 50, 90 ray tracing. I mean, what is a 4090 worth if the PS6 for $600 or $700 is running most games better? Like, because this is a thing people argued with me about with some generations after PS5 came out. And it's like, no, that 2080 is going to be pretty cheap eventually, because if it's not better than a $400 now $600 PS5, what can you really, you know? And then there's going to be the 3080 made that look like a joke. No, it can't hold its value at 500. There's no way it will long term. And I think we're going to have a similar thing probably in GPU if AMD really goes for it with RDNA 5, because you know the one doc said 154 compute units, 384-bit. Technically, the full die was 512-bit. So if they gave gamers the full die, I mean,
yeah, it's 5090-bit.
So I think I don't know. I think assuming there's any return to normal prices, it might be a bit like what happened when Ampere and RDNA 2 came out. I mean, I know there was a shortage at first, but eventually the previous gen was selling for peanuts.
And there's also one of the reasons why I think our like stuff has been kind of incremental, and even with like Zen 5 and stuff, is like it's been the process node that they've been using. Like it hasn't really advanced. Even TSMC,
they were kind of 3 didn't go very well, so they were kind of stuck on 4.
Yeah, so like it really slowed things down. And at the end of the day, that's what really pushes the chips further, because they can be more efficient. Yeah, they can be smaller. They can fit more stuff on the die. They can get higher clocks and stuff and everything. So if they can't get the manufacturing process, then they're going to struggle. But now Intel's got their fabs going with 18A. I mean,
real competition, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see some back and forth. And even TSMC, I thought the next series of graphics cards from Nvidia, I think the new Apple chips are using
Intel
2 nanometer or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll use it for the most expensive stuff. I think the rumor for Nvidia is they were going to use 3. I really don't know what they're going to use, because I don't think they want to launch any new graphics cards until the AI bubble bursts. And I have this conspiracy theory of, I know they're making Intel iGPUs for Titan Lake. Well, when does that come out? I don't know, 28, 29. And we also keep hearing that, like, and I don't know if this will happen, but we Super didn't come out, and there's a rumor right now that the 50 Super will still come out, but like next year. It's like, why would you do that unless this gen's going to last forever? I'm like, wait, are they delaying the next?
String it out. Yeah.
Are they delaying the next gamer generation until they can make it at Intel? Because
that would be interesting.
See, that's what I wonder if they would do that.
They have a contract.
No, it would be funny is if they like have like a 750 watt 5090 Ti that tries to compete with a 350 watt RDNA 5, but then but DLSS 5 means it's faster, and see if anyone buys that. It could be really weird. I don't know. Maybe they'll just do the normal, 3 nanometer, whatever.
You'll need two 6090s to run DLSS 5, so it'll make sense.
Yeah, but I guess, to answer the question from my side, what am I excited about? I'm excited that I think there's going to be some real competition here. And I'm excited that there are a lot of different companies have pretty big openings. Intel has an opening in CPU to try to swing back. And AMD has a pretty big opening in GPU. And Nvidia might alienate a lot of their fans. I mean, the outrage over DLSS 5, even from just developers, like we've seen, we can shame AMD into bringing FSR. I think we can shame Nvidia into not making DLSS 5 suck. I think we can.
Yeah, if they care about us, then we can shame them, I think. I was also thinking, I'm genuinely, I am excited about mobile stuff.
Yeah, that's
now, I'm not buying laptops all the time, but holy crap. I mean, Panther Lake was so good. I mean, I wish it would be cheaper.
Yeah.
Everything's so expensive, but man, Panther Lake, like to get a Windows laptop and not have to worry about battery life. That's amazing. I mean,
you can do it now if you're willing to spend $2,000. You can do it now, pretty much.
Oh boy.
But yeah, that should get cheaper. Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I am excited about that because that was driven forward by Apple competing really well in this space, and Intel was like, oh wait, we gotta do a little better here. And I like that stuff. And also I'm excited about actually just to see what happens. I know it's been delayed quite a few times, but the Nvidia N1X, the mobile thing.
What I put a video out about that. Let me open it up like a month or two ago. God, everything.
I feel like I watched that one.
I was starting to doubt it would ever come out, but it says they're going to at least paper launch it by Q4. That's what they say. They say it's happening. They pinky swear. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, because that will prove if ARM on Windows is that bad or if Qualcomm just sucks. I have a suspicion it's just that Qualcomm sucks, actually.
Maybe. I
wish it came out sooner. It's a bit like Strix Halo, where like we knew about it well before it came out, and it just kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And it would have been a lot more interesting if this thing came out a year ago. But oh well, it's still like that's the thing, right? That's what I'm saying about competition. Like everyone would say these things like, well, Microsoft, like Xbox can get away with anything because they have unlimited money, and no one will ever compete with Intel and AMD and laptop, and Windows will always suck. It's like, no, eventually people will switch to Linux. No, Nvidia is going to make a CPU. I think people are going to be forced to really compete with each other pretty hard in a couple of years.
I don't know, I'm excited for that. Whether or not it's good, I'm hoping it's good.
Yes.
Not because it's NVIDIA.
Hey, I have no idea if N1X will be good. No idea. I hear a lot of horror stories, but
I mean, the scary thing to me is like you see now gaming is gone on Qualcomm.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. Maybe that's why it's delayed like 2 years.
It is. I mean, that is why. Like they keep, like, because I know some people who like test these chips, and it's like I forget they exist, and I'll email this or message on some messaging app this person and be like, wait, N1X, what's going on? The person will be like, oh, it's still, I hate my life. It crashes. So I mean, but now I'm told it is going to finally be done after like 2 years of them trying to get the thing working well. So we'll see. It has to be good though. NVIDIA's not stupid. They can't launch something that's not at least okay.
And it's like how they launch. I mean, with N1X, it seems like they launched the DGX or DJX or whatever. But that uses the same chip, doesn't it? And
it's literally
it seems like they just wanted to get something out.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we have the silicon, it's ready.
And if you look into it,
sell it,
unless you're doing like 2 very specific tasks, it's very unstable. Like, so I honestly think they're
That's
like,
hilarious.
well, we got to sell this somewhere. AI's hot. We'll do that. And we need to buy time for us to make this actually work on Windows.
Yeah. I'm excited for that though. Cause it isn't even exclusive nowadays from what we've seen with x86 isn't necessarily like it can't be efficient. Now I feel like they have to work a lot harder on x86 than ARM as it being like built up to be efficient. Because it seems like Intel's got the LPE cores, they got the E cores, they got all that stuff. Then they have the backside power, and it's like I don't see Apple talking about that stuff. So I think ARM might be a little bit easier.
Yeah, that's something I point out too, when people are like, Panther Lake's impressive, and it's like, well, it is. Keep in mind they had to use like 18A and backside power delivery and all of this stuff to be like 30% more efficient than AMD's rebranded 5 nanometer stuff from 2 years ago. So let's see how good Zen 6 is before we're so sure they just own the laptop market. But it is good. They had to basically use alien tech to get there. I mean,
yeah, that's what I want to see too. Because like if you get laptop has good graphics in it, I would want it to be x86, or if Nvidia was able to get ARM working well for gaming. But if you could bring a laptop with you and they fixed Windows, and you could just like do anything, that would be awesome. I would love that. Like you could edit on it, you could play games on it. It had a good battery life when you're not using it. Because one of the big things, you have a DGPU in your laptop or something, is like, well, yeah, the battery life sucks, but then you have to, if you want to turn it off and then use it when you want to use it, then it gets pretty annoying. And an APU just fixes all those things. And I just, if you can get that whole system to work together, that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, I mean, ever since even Hotpoint, I'm done with DGPUs and laptops because they just work when there's only an APU. A lot of the Apple stuff applies to AMD laptops. They don't have the draining issues. There's no driver issues.
I wanted to get Strix Halo. I just didn't know where to get it. Like what devices have
HP, Asus. That's it. Basically
it's like a new Asus laptop that has it on their side, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a tablet. Yeah, I believe there may have been some other. There's a couple really good handhelds with it, oddly enough, too. Or at least the GPD 5 has it, and apparently works great. But hopefully that'll change with Gorgon Halo, which we now know has FSR 4, so you're safe to get it.
Hey, well, we'll see how it does. I'm going to definitely test that when it comes out. I'm also curious with the Strix Halo and stuff on mobile. I'm completely blanking right now. The reason why I didn't go for it was because I wanted to edit on the go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't support with their video engine on a lot of the AMD stuff, like the specific format my camera shoots in.
Oh,
so yeah, it doesn't support, like Intel QuickSync does it, and RTX 50 series does it too. And I was like, dang, I would want to get that, and Panther Lake wasn't even out at the time. But I've tested Panther Lake now. Like Asus sent me the Duo. I've sent it back by now, but it could hold up pretty well editing, but not amazing.
Yeah, Strix Halo is indistinguishable from a dedicated PC. I mean, it has 16 Zen 5 cores. It's
that's really the only thing I was worried about was could it edit? Because that's what I want to use it for.
Yeah, the only Panther Lake I've tasted is I have a little mini PC here, but it's the one, and the CPU is really great. It's really snappy. I think it has like 16 cores total. But it only has 4 XE cores, and I was surprised how much that thing sucked. I mean, no, like it's great as a personal PC. It's fine, but I was like shocked. It was like getting in some games like half the frame rate of Zen 3 APUs. I'm like, what? I don't know why they didn't give it a few
that one's
more.
pretty weak. Yeah, there's so many. When like Intel AMD, man, I don't think they ever will, but they need to fix their freaking naming. Like it's so confusing.
Yeah.
Some of the X ones have the good GPU in them for Intel, and some of them are like fine. Like I got the B390 one, so I got the 12 XE cores when Asus lent it to me, and that one, it was pretty solid. Good. I know Strix Halo is faster than it, but at
if
peak
plugged
powers
in on
and stuff,
battery, they're actually close because this Halo throttle's a little more.
But it was really cool just to be able to, you could boot up a game on the B390 and you could just play on battery.
Yeah.
It was pretty sick. And I that's just something that excites me, like, because at least on the desktop side of things, I think for most things, for personally what I do, I don't really need a ton more.
Nah, me neither. I'm more excited about laptop. I'm more excited about like what a PS6 handheld can do and that stuff.
That'd be cool.
But otherwise, laptop I think is going to continue to be kind of more interesting. At least for me, I have a 4090 and I don't need a stronger graphics card. It just laughs at everything.
Yeah, same here. Actually, I got my 4090 last year because Nvidia, they didn't blacklist me yet. I guess they're not happy with me, but none
of them are happy with me. So
no, everybody hates you.
Like I have an AMD contact, but they're not going to send me anything.
No, I don't even. AMD doesn't really even send me that much either. But I got a 4090 last 2025 before 50 series came out, when people were selling their 4090s to get the 5090. Mm-hmm. I got it for $1,500.
That's pretty good.
I could profit on that GPU now.
That's the only thing that's made me think about getting a 5090 is it's like, if I could get one for $2,000, if I ever found one, I could probably just sell my 4090 for the same price. But that power consumption, the 4090 doesn't really use 450 watts. It really uses more like 300 most of the time.
Even the
5090
does. The 5090 won't, even in games, I'll see it get to like 400 watts. It's a lot of power, but you have to like hit the AI. You got to hit the ray tracing cores. You got to hit everything if you want it to get up to 600 watts. I've only really seen it get that high in like Cyberpunk and like Alan Wake 2. Those type of games when you're hitting everything. But if you're doing raster, it'll cap around 400, which is still crazy.
Yeah,
that's a lot of power.
Like I'm pretty lazy. I'm still using my 750 watt Corsair SFX power supply from 2019.
Oh yeah, that was
so. I'm not plugging a 5090 into that thing.
No, probably not. I have 1,000 watt, and yeah, it's still a little spooky.
Yeah, I mean you're good for now, probably. Isn't that funny? Yeah. Like 600 watts. So you're saying
that's just the GPU.
2/3 of your, really probably 3/4, 80% actually of your power is just the GPU at this point.
Dude, I was chilling. I was testing the Lego Batman game, and I I had to compile shaders real quick, and I just walked away, and I think I went and ate some food while I was doing it, and I came back, and my room was like 5 to 10 degrees hotter in my room.
Yeah.
Because it was just sitting there. I guess it was full rendering the game or something. I was like, what the heck? I'm toasty now.
Yeah.
So if you want to survive winter, you get Intel and you get a 5090 and you'll be good.
All right. Well, I think we covered everything that I was hoping we would cover on this. So I think we can probably end it here. You've been very generous with your time as usual. Please tell everybody where they can find you.
Really? I'm just on YouTube. Vex on YouTube, obviously. Other than that, I don't really have any other social media, but I cover gaming, optimization a lot lately. If hardware's out, I cover it. And that's basically where we're at.
All right. And there will be a link below to your channel. And for everyone else, as usual, make sure you're subscribed, comment, like, share, do the height point thing, I guess, if you're on mobile now.
Yeah.
And then consider joining us on Patreon to ask guests like Vex questions, get access to die shrinks. There'll be a new one that comes out this week. I'm not sure what it'll be about yet, but the last one was just an hour of me and my brother talking about how insanely worried people are about next gen. So that's fun if you want some venting there. You'll hear me drop a few more F-bombs actually on the die shrinks as well. Really? So if you're into the unfiltered mind of Moore's Law is Dead, that's where you'd get that from. But otherwise, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and have a good week, everybody.
Peace.
This podcast was brought to you by the YouTube channel and website Moore's Law is Dead. Moore's Law is Dead and Broken Silicon are trademarked by me, the creator, Tom. However, Moore's Law is Dead is much more than just one man. It is a team with Broken Silicon co-hosted by my brother Dan, audio editing by Gerard Cortez, renders done by the industrial designer Jean-Philippe Clermont, and special assistance also provided by Carbon Cry and Kerry no Sugata. Find all of our information at www.mooreslawsdead.com. On the About Support page, in the event you want to hire me for consulting work, or hire Gerard for audio work, Jean-Philippe for industrial design work, or are interested in working with Carbon Cry or Kerry no Sugata as well, you can find all of our information there. You can also find our long-term sponsors there and show them some love for helping make this work possible. Additionally, if you are a fan and would like to mail Moore's Law is Dead some love in a letter or with hardware donations, please mail parcels to Moore's Law is Dead, P.O. Box 60632 in Nashville, Tennessee 37206. And speaking of fans, patrons are what makes Moore's Law is Dead content possible. Every month and every day, actually, depending on the person, me, Gerard, Dan, Jean-Philippe, and more are working tirelessly to provide a steady stream of entertaining content and investigative journalism that aims to be as independent as possible from outside influence. Only direct funding from fans can make this possible in the modern era. And so if you have any extra money every month, even just $1 or $2, consider supporting us directly on Patreon. All members of the Moore's Law is Dead Patreon, even down to the $1.28 128-bit tier, get access to a catalog of dozens of essential Die Shrink episodes and the ability to ask guest questions ahead of Broken Silicon recordings. Additionally, higher tiers get access to the entire catalog of hundreds of episodes of Die Shrinks, and these include exclusive interviews with game devs and other guests, behind-the-scenes looks at Moore's Law is Dead leaks, and more niche coverage of subjects that really only the biggest gaming dorks like me and you would care about. They would not profit on YouTube, but they don't have to profit on Patreon. And so if you're interested in that, you can get access to all of that stuff and even more at higher tiers, like ad-free episodes of Broken Silicon, the ability to ask free questions in Loose Ends live streams ahead of recordings, thanks in the credits of videos and podcasts, and access to the Discord with thousands of fans there who would love to discuss gaming hardware with you. I am one of them. And hey, if you cannot afford to support us, please just share Moore's Law is Dead videos and podcasts with friends and family and on social media and Reddit, and give Broken Silicon a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your preferred podcast app. All of that stuff does help a ton as well. But as I said, this podcast would not be possible without its patrons directly providing predictable and reliable support every month. And so now is the time to give a personal thanks to the greatest of the fans. The following supporters are at the 1024-bit HBM3 or higher supporter levels: Brad Medlin, Z Jits, Daniel D, Nicholas Buckner, Deke, and Aaron Close, Jan Rauner, MJB1, Daniel Hyde, GZ Ziggy, SNES Chalmers, Jam Ferrier, Valcom Alev, Jensen Wang, Sarcastro, Chris Rich, Evan Dingle, Hal Booma, Shredward, Sammy Malas, Chrysanthenos, Jonathan, Tommy, Matthew Cassells, Jake223, Jake Martin, Zlicky, Winwing, Gamers Unite, Ian Clifford, Meat and Pork, Tim Rod, Travis Gooding, Zoot Suit Taylor, Mads, Greg, Michael McGee, Stephen Coates, Mark Mitchell, Amiable Chief, James Anderson, Mark Raidmaker, Dan M, 1988, I Should, Salty Internet Pirate, Henry Zhang, Wesley Sager, Cameron, Michelle Pell, Hexapuma, Teak Autumn, Little Germany, Windstar, James I. Raider, Shay, Milton, Brett Jones, Chuck Glidden, Stephen Dick, Mac Daffy, Justin Bussell, Austin Haggerty, Joe Foot, Brian Wright, Brian Scanlon, Hardland, Slushball, Jansen Angima, The Forbidden Juice, RB Racer, Bing Bong 3, John Swin, Solarized 80, Kikum, Sprutnik, Brian P, Cornster 671, Penta Winta, Omega Doge, Huger Ander Kiwi, Smash Axley, Mr. Tiger, John Wick Boomstick, Penguins Love AI, Porcelain Oats, Dominic Passeri, Karim El Masri, Rahil, Chi Bulls, Manus Radkusis, Kevin Koontz, AAI Soldier 789, Jonathan Harris, Bespoke EP, Kainush Kagani, Johnny Trans, Fred Burger, Zabir Ahmed, RKO, Dudester, Henry Day, John Tiberius, America, Roadkill Dog, OMG Clover, Michael Gurner, and Dreesen. And of course, thank you to Sahara for the music.